All right, and it is a beautiful day here in Oakland. Bright blue skies overhead, which could make it difficult on pop-ups this time of year for infielders and outfielders. The Mariners and the Athletics. And the Mariners with a chance to get a sweep of this series, which they almost needed if they were going to have a shot to come back and win the American League West. They were 5 games out when this weekend started. Now the Athletics lead is a 3-game edge over the Mariners. And if Seattle can win today, they'll get out of here just 2 games out. The Red Sox won their ball game back of Pedro Martinez and Manny Ramirez over Cleveland. And so at the moment, the Mariners are 2 out. They could get back to a game and a half if they could win this ball game. So in each of those races, they need a win here today. The Athletics have taken the field, and a late addition to their lineup was inserting Ted Lillian as the starter instead of the rookie Rich Harden. There's some conspiracy theories about that circulating through the Oakland Coliseum. I'm John Miller with Joe Morgan. We'll be back.
Inside the Baseball Tonight studio, Scott Reese alongside Rob Dibble. We've got our eye on the entire nation and the wild card races in both leagues. It is the NL Central, however, taking our attention right now. The Cards and the Astros, and Edgar Renteria in a 4-2 game. Off of the rookie Jeremy Robertson. That is trouble with the bases loaded.
Well, a lot of patience there on the 2-1 pitch. He tries to get a breaking ball across the outside part of the plate. Renteria deposits to right field. Great piece of hitting.
That made it 4-4. Eli Marrero with an RBI to make it 5-4 now, bottom of the 5th inning. So they're kind of laboring along there in St. Louis. We'll keep you posted on this one throughout the day and throughout the A's and the Mariners game. Elsewhere, it is the Cubs leading the Pirates 4-1, bottom of the 8th inning. So Chicago trying to keep pace with, or perhaps pick up a game on Houston in that Central Division.
Yeah, these are some of the biggest games. You can even go back to that Houston game. The bullpen is already in the game in the 5th inning, showing you how big these games are with a week to play, Scott. And so the Cubs have to beat up on the Pirates, have to beat up on the Reds to finish out the season. It's right in front of them. They can take the division if they do it.
Cubs game and a half back now, and the Braves 8-0 over the Fish. We showed you the offense from Chipper, but Greg Maddux becomes the first pitcher ever to win 15 or more games in 16 straight seasons. Unbelievable accomplishment.
18 straight years. He's never had a losing season. He's going to the Hall of Fame, and now he's got a great record to boot.
There's a quick look at the standings. Cubs a game and a half back. The Cards are 5 back, but now winning 5-4. So we'll keep our eye on those games throughout the afternoon. Right now, we want to get you back west to Oakland. It's John Miller and Joe Morgan with the A's and the Mariners. Gentlemen, take it away.
All right, and here we are at the Coliseum. Big crowd has gathered. The final Sunday home game for the Athletics. The Mariners getting ready to come to bat now. And here's the batting order for Bob Melvin's ball club. Ichiro, who's been sensational, 6 for 11 in this series, is in right field, not left field. He's in right field. Carlos Guillen is at third base. Brett Boone at second base. Edgar Martinez, the designated hitter. John Olerud at first base. Randy Wynn is the left fielder. Mike Cameron, who seems to catch just about everything, is in center field. Ray Sanchez is at short, and Dan Wilson is the catcher, batting ninth, all up against the Oakland left-hander Ted Lilly. Now, as of yesterday, Rich Harden was supposed to have pitched, and the A's are saying today that Harden's back tightened up before the game yesterday. We'll talk about that a little bit at greater length, but Lilly, whose shoulder's been bothering him, suddenly is the surprise starter.
Well, last week they said Lilly had back spasms, and we found out it was a sore shoulder. Now we find out that that back spasm has moved over to Harden. He has the back spasms now, but he's supposed to pitch on Tuesday, so we'll just have to wait and see. Like you said, a lot of cloak and dagger stuff going on.
So the 27-year-old Lilly ready to go. Also with us here today is Sam Ryan. Sam?
Well, John, you were mentioning Rich Harden, who was supposed to start today. I spoke with him after yesterday's game. He told me he was really looking forward to this start, but then the A's training staff tells us back spasms occurred yesterday. So Ted Lilly getting the start. When I spoke to pitching coach Rick Peterson, he said Lilly walked in this morning, said, hey, I'm ready to go. I want the ball. I want to pitch. I asked him to put a number on Lilly's health. He said he's 100%. Interestingly enough, he had a 30-minute bullpen session yesterday. That is Lilly I'm speaking about. John?
All right, thanks, Sam. And Sam will be with us throughout the day. And here we go. Ichiro standing in against Lilly. And Ichiro into the hole at short. This is going to be tough. Here's Tejada's throw. Not nearly in time and over the head of the first baseman, Hatterberg. And Ichiro ends up at second base.
Not exactly how you wanted this to start if you're the Oakland A's, who have been struggling to beat the Mariners the last 2 days. this is, you know, to me, it's a tough play. Tejada makes a lot of tough plays, but when a guy like Ichiro hits this ball, you cannot get him. 3 steps, 2, 3 before he gets it, 2 more to get rid of it. There's no way you're going to get Ichiro at first base, and you can see that. Now watch this. Ichiro will be across the bag before the ball gets there. You can't get Ichiro on a ball that deep in the hole. But you try, and he tried to make the play, and it didn't work, so now Ichiro's at second base.
So Ichiro with his 7th hit of this series. And here is Carlos Guillen. And they're going for the first run. He was showing bunt, and he almost got hit by that pitch.
Yeah, I like this. I mean, a lot of people may not like it. Guillen has been swinging the bat well, but I think it's important for the Mariners to get on the board first. They're the team that has to win this game. They have to win today's ball game. I mean, and so you want to get on the board first. It may sound like a little thing trying to get a 1 run in the first inning, but every run you get, the other team has to get 2 to beat you. And the A's have not been scoring a lot of runs themselves.
Pickoff play was developing that time with Tejada moving in behind Ichiro at second base. No throw made by Lilly.
I don't think you can play these last few games the same way you played all year. I think you have to play them like they're playoff games, and you have to try to manufacture runs.
Guillen showing bunt again. He gets the bunt down. Another ball that almost hit him. And Hatterberg, or rather Lilly, I beg your pardon, made the throw to first to the second baseman Ellis covering, and Ichiro has been moved over.
And a great job there by Guillen. As you mentioned, the ball almost hit him, but his job was to get the ball down. He wasn't up there looking for a walk. He was just trying to move Ichiro. And you see the box there, the ball's going to be way inside, and you're right, that ball would have hit him. I mean, that's a great job there by Guillen just to get it on the ground.
All right, so if I need a bunt in a big game, I want Carlos Guillen up at the plate for me. The infield is in for the Athletics already.
So this shows you the way the A's are thinking about this game. You're playing the infield in the first inning of the ball game. And what you open yourself up for is a big inning, of course, with the infield in, but you try to stifle Seattle from getting the 1 run that's at third base.
And Boone with the big rip, he didn't get it. Looked like I don't know if that was a cutter or a slider in under the hands.
Well, Boone was upset because the first pitch he thought was up and in, and now he's hitting 0-2.
The Athletics, I think this is rare for them. They definitely don't often play this way. Not right away, not in the 3rd hitter of the game.
Well, they play for big innings, so if you're playing for big innings, you don't worry about 1 run or letting the other team score 1 run. But I think they're starting to feel a little bit of the heat, too, and rightfully so. I mean, you do not want this to get out of hand. You had a 5-game lead when this series started. Now it's down to 3. You do not want to make this a race.
A nice save there by the catcher Ramon Hernandez. That slider in the dirt, and he knocked it down. Brett Boone has had success against Lilly. 10 hits in 21 career at-bats for him against Lilly. Boone hitting over 300 with men in scoring position. He's got one out there right now. And that is down the left field line, foul. I mean, Lilly kept everything in on the hands of Boone in this at-bat. You see the big crowd and the blue skies overhead. Now, that's significant in this ballpark. This time of year, when you have a cloudless sky, it can be held to be an infielder or even an outfielder trying to catch a fly ball. Check swing. That slider breaking down and in. And no, says Jeff Kellogg on the appeal.
Very close call there because Boone started. And just a matter of first, this is what the first baseman saw. And you can see clearly he did check. It looked more like a swing the first time around.
2-2. And he chases one up around his eyes. And Boone kicks at the dirt, angry with himself. He really helped Lilly out big time.
Well, I think Boone was upset about the first pitch. That got him in the hole. That changed the whole dynamics of the at-bat. And that's what he was upset about. And then he did chase one. And clearly this is supposed to be a fastball away. I mean, this is eye high. They're going to walk Edgar.
Walking Edgar Martinez intentionally
in the first
inning to go after the left-handed batting Olerud.
Well, like I said, it tells you how important the A's are viewing this game. I mean, very rarely do you play the infield in after 2 batters in the first inning, and rarely do you walk someone in the first inning.
Edgar is 6 for 12 lifetime against Lilly with a home run, a .500 batting average. But Olerud hitting only .077 lifetime against him. So,
well, it was interesting though. Boone had hit him well also, and he got Boone out. So, but it's interesting. I mean, I think that's the way you play the game. You play this game like, you know, these games down the stretch. You have to play them a little differently than you do the regular season. I mean, you think of it now as part of starting the playoffs. We have to get ready to do the little things that it will take to win games, you know, in the playoffs. And that's both sides. I mean, the Mariners have to, they're just trying to stay alive.
Well, it's obvious the Mariners felt it was critical to get ahead in this game, hence the bunt by Guillen. But also just as evident that Maka feels that it's critical not to allow that to happen.
I agree. And when you've lost the first 2 games and you're A's, that's the way you think. We don't want to get behind again in this, you know, with them, give them the confidence that they can win this ball game.
Olerud hit a big home run here in the first game on Friday. It created a 4-run inning after Ichiro had gotten things going. This is the home run that Olerud hit against Tim Hudson, and that made it 4-1, and the final was 6-1.
Well, the big thing about that home run, it was Tim Hudson. I think that was the key. They basically said that they could start swinging the bats well against their good pitchers.
Off the outside. 2 balls and a strike now to John Olerud. Big moment here early on. The Mariners in a must-win. And it's not just the Western Division race for Seattle, but the wild card race as well. Boston has put some heat on them there. If they lose this game, they'll be 2.5 back of the Red Sox with only 6 remaining. High and tight with a fastball.
And the problem, John, they would be 3 in the loss column. And that's where you can't make up. There you see the career numbers against Lilly. I don't think that's a, you know, that statistic means as much as it may appear, because, you know, you only had 13 at bats and you're still making adjustments. I think you have to get around 20 before you can have a real good sampling.
Although Ken Maka is counting on it, holding true for this at bat.
Right.
Having walked Edgar Martinez, the right-handed hitter, to get to the left-handed batting order. Of course, if you don't want to pitch to Edgar and you got a lefty coming up,
makes sense. Wouldn't have mattered if he was hitting 350.
That's right. You got the lefty versus the lefty. Win, the switch hitter on deck. Olerud lifts a pop fly. Left field. McMillan. And that's the inning. So Ichiro got to second with nobody out. He was at third with 1 out. But the Mariners could not get him home. Now Gilmesh, the young right-hander, takes the mound to face the Athletics.
ESPN2's Major League Baseball, brought to you by Quaker State, the power to reduce friction, and Nextel, life's better when your cell phone has a walkie-talkie.
The Oakland Coliseum on the eastern side of San Francisco Bay. The Mariners, nothing. The Athletics coming up. And here's a look at the Athletics batting order turned in by manager Ken Maka. Billy McMillan in left field. Rubiel Durazo, the DH. Miguel Tejada at short. He's been hot. Eric Chavez at third. He's been hot. Scott Hatteberg at first. Ramon Hernandez, who's had a very fine season. He's the catcher. Jermaine Dye, an injury-plagued season. Back now, seems to be swinging well. He's in right. Mark Ellis at second. Eric Burns in center, hitting ninth. All up against the right-hander from Lafayette, Louisiana, the hometown of Ron Guidry. 25-year-old Gilmesh pitching one of the biggest games of his young career. He has won 15 while losing 11. And he throws a called strike to McMillan. Nash with a 4.34 ERA. He was much better the first half of the season than in the second half. And the same could be said for almost all of the Mariners starting pitchers, Joe. This whole staff has been very shaky since the All-Star game.
And you see his pitches. He has all the pitches.
That's a called strike.
And we'll take a look. He has 2 curves. The one on the right is the one he tries to throw to strike out the hitter. It very rarely does he throw it for a strike, but it looks like it's a strike until it gets to the plate.
And a high, hard one that had McMillan lurching his chin back out of harm's way. 266 for McMillan in 139 at bats for the A's. 2-2. Staying with the hard stuff here. Durazo on deck, and then Tejada due up third. The Athletics, with a 5-game lead coming into this series, even if they only won 1 of the 3, they were going to come out of it in good shape.
Right.
But if they lose all 3, remember, they've got 3 next weekend in Seattle to play yet.
Well, the real question mark now is that the A's have to score some runs off this Seattle pitching, and they haven't even faced Jamie Moyer, and I'm sure they will next weekend if it's a big pennant race.
That curveball stays too high. That's not where he wanted to throw that one. The count now is 3-2. That was the number 2 curveball, Joe, and he wanted to throw the number 1 curveball. 3-2 the count. Fastball, and McMillan hangs tough. So he's making him work hard here. That last fastball, by the way, clocked at 97 miles an hour. This will be the 9th pitch of this at bat coming up.
Well, I watched Joel Pinheiro throw yesterday, Joel Pinheiro, and he was throwing very, very well.
That one is hit high in the air to center. Cameron drifting back, looking up into the harsh glare of the sunshine. That one carried all the way to the warning track out there in left center. Out number 1.
Well, the Mariners, in my opinion, have the best defense in the American League. I mean, if you look at these guys, Olerud, a Gold Glove winner, Boone, a Gold Glove winner. Sanchez has played great. Guillen's a very good infielder. Randy Wynn, Cameron, and Ichiro in the outfield. Doesn't get any better than those 3 guys. So this is a very good defense, and Dan Wilson throws well from behind the plate.
Well, so far, the 2 balls that have been hit in the air have been handled. That sun has created a lot of problems over the years, especially in September. And the curveball is too high. 1 ball and no strikes to Arubiel Durazo, who had been hitting a lot better since being installed in the number 2 spot in the Oakland batting order. Another curve that was hanging high. So he's thrown 3 curves now, Joe, and all 3 of them have been very high and out of the strike zone.
Well, it tells you their scouting report that they have on Durazo is that basically he's a good fastball hitter. And so they tried to stay away, but they're going to have to challenge him now.
Ooh, at the knees, and kind of a delayed call there by Bill Miller, the plate umpire.
But that was a good challenge, John. That one had some pop on it. Down and in, but normally left-hand hitters like the ball down and in, but got there a little quickly.
2-1. A check swing, an appeal. No, says Joe West.
Interesting, you watch the way that Dan Wilson is set up. He is set up inside with every fastball that they have thrown to Durazo. And we saw the A's, Ted Lilly, pitch Brett Boone inside. Back inside again.
And Durazo, I think, swung at ball 4 right there. Got the fastball. He was looking for it, and he wailed at it. But it looked to be up out of the strike zone. 3-2. I mean, when you see that, is that understandable, or?
When you're a hitter and you're swinging and you think you're swinging the bat better, as he has been lately, I mean, you can handle that high fastball. At least you think so.
A chop. That's Olerud. Mesh covering. And Durazo, who's not very fast, retired for out number 2.
And if you're Durazo, you want to get some swings in. You're not up there just to get a walk in the first inning. If someone's on base, you take the walk. But right there, you want to get some swings in so that if you come to bat the next time up with runners in scoring position, you will have seen some pitches and seen what Mesh has to offer today.
Now, since August the 2nd, Tejada has been hitting 3rd. Chavez has been hitting 4th. And in the 46 games with that alignment since then, Tejada, in fact, the 2 of them have switched between 3rd and 4th. One's hit 3rd, one's hit 4th. Not always the same rotation, but they've both been extremely hot in those 46 games as he takes a strike. Tejada hitting .331 with 10 homers and 36 batted in that time. So he is the reigning MVP in the American League, and he's had an MVP stretch run.
Exactly. I mean, and I think he's the reason that the A's have been able to put this run together. I mean, if you look back at the games that they've won, I mean, he's been right in the mix. He's been the biggest contributor. You know, even when Chavez has had some big games, Tejada has offered a lot of support. So I think he is the MVP. And it's interesting, we were talking earlier, Ichiro, I was one of the guys who said a few years ago that maybe Brett Boone was the MVP the year that Ichiro won.
2 years ago.
2 years ago in 2000. But looking now, you have to say that Ichiro is the important guy because he hits in that spot. I mean, he hits leadoff. So when he doesn't get on, things do not happen. I mean, he struggled a year in 2000 when they had the great September. He hit .337. Last year he hit 248 and they struggled. This year they were struggling. He was hitting 250 even before yesterday's 4-hit game.
Tejada hits one way back there and caught by Ichiro right near the 362 marker. Tejada swung at a shoulder-high fastball and sent it back to the warning track. No score. Randy Winn coming up. Inning number 2 from the Coliseum. Ted Lilly on the mound for the Athletics. No score in the game. Randy Winn will lead off here, hitting 6th in the order. The switch hitter batting right-handed, and that's a called strike on the inside. Winn, who is from this area, grew up in the Bay Area, and used to like the A's and the Giants.
Yeah, I went to San Ramon High up near where I live.
1 strike to count, and a foul back to the screen, and it's 0-2. Winn was with the Tampa Bay Devil Rays last year, and he was their leading hitter, at least for batting average, and he was an American League All-Star last year. And when the Devil Rays decided they wanted Lou Piniella to come manage down there, in order for the Mariners to agree, part of the deal was that Randy Winn had to come play for the Mariners. That's a base hit. A soft liner over the head of Chavez. Digging for second is Winn. He's going to make it there easily. He's a very fast runner. For the 2nd inning in a row, the Mariners get a runner to second to start off the inning. Meanwhile, an update with Scott Reese.
All right, guys, the Cubs and Bucks. Little trouble for Joe Borowski in the 9th. 2 on with 1 out, but he induces the double play ball from Abraham Nunez. 30-second save for the Cubs closer, and they win at 4-1 to temporarily pull within a game of the Stros in that Central Division. And it could be a half game if this score holds up, because the Cards with a 5-4 lead in the 7th. Back to John and Joe.
All right, thanks, Scott. Now, the problem for the Cardinals, the reason they're not really a contender at this point, with a disappointing season, is, I mean, their starting pitching has been horrible, and perhaps because of that, the bullpen's been so overtaxed. The bullpen has blown more saves than any other contending team. So we'll see if the Cardinals can hold that lead. At home against Houston. Cardinals are not mathematically eliminated, but really at this point with 2 teams in front of them in that division, it's just a matter of time.
Well, they had a chance this week, as the Mariners had. They had to sweep the Astros to, you know, have any kind of a chance, and that did not happen.
It didn't happen when they lost the first game.
Yeah, kind of hard to sweep if you lose the first game.
They had their ace Matt Morrison on the mound, and they lost the game 8-1.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to sweep them after that.
They won a dramatic game yesterday on Pujols' 13th inning homer. Cameron trying to move Randy Winn around as he takes a strike. There you see the Central Division. The Astros at the moment a game up on the Cubs, who ended up splitting that wild weekend in Pittsburgh, starting with a twilight doubleheader on Friday. And the Cardinals and the Pirates. It's funny, the Pirates, for whatever reason, have played better since they traded all their top players. And Cameron is down on strikes.
There are times in a game when, you know, the guy, if you're the hitter, you have to realize what your strength is and your weaknesses. Cameron faked the bunt the first pitch, and he fell behind by 1 strike. Then he was trying to hit the ball to right field his second swing, and now he's down 2 strikes. And then Lilly makes a great pitch on the inside corner, and you're out. So you have to think about that. If I'm not good at pushing that ball to the other side with swinging, I have to drop a bunt down.
Here's Sanchez, and Winn was kind of dancing off second base as if trying to distract Lilly. Well, he did get Lilly's attention.
You really do not have to distract him, John. You can steal bases with Lilly on the mound. He usually takes 1 look and then he'll go, and he doesn't have a quick delivery to the plate, although he's taking a little more time now. But normally, I mean, I watched the game a couple of weeks ago. I broadcast the game, and they were just taking off. I mean, I don't think they've been so successful stealing against him this year.
Winn has 21 steals for the year,
but
he needs to steal right now, with Cameron failing to get him over. I've decided. That's a strike in the inside. See how it's September, Joe. I'm first guessing.
No, I agree with you.
And then if they don't get him over, I'll second guess too.
Well, I guess I'm gonna have to start keeping stats a little more closer. I just read them and then I try to remember. But I know they've only Jason Schmidt, if I remember correctly. That ball hit well to right field, and that ball is caught by Dye.
Wynn was 2/3 of the way to third. He's got to go back.
And that's what he should have been doing, though. He's not. You only tag up if the guy is underneath the ball. You're sure he's going to catch it. And that was a good play there by Jermaine Dye. I was going to mention in between innings, we watched the ball is really carrying well here.
Ball is
To the
jumping.
outfield. He didn't get this one up. This is more of a line drive. And a good job by Jermaine Dye, who was a very good outfielder. See how he just keeps track of the ball. He doesn't. He goes in a straight line to where it ends up, and he's able to make the play. But with one out, you're not supposed to tag up on that play unless you're sure he's going to catch it.
I mean, you've got to be able to score if he doesn't
catch it. And we've seen a lot of guys this year not score on a double.
Well, I mean,
the hitter gets the double
because they're tagging up.
Yeah.
And the catch is not made. They only get to third. Here's Dan Wilson now to try and bring him home. The Mariners are letting some opportunities go by here. Wilson takes a knee-high strike. Ichiro led off the first inning, getting to second base on a hit and an error. He didn't score. Wynn led off this inning with a double, and he's still out there now with 2 down. Wilson trying to get the big 2-down hit in the clutch here. 242 average for the year for Wilson. There goes Wynn. And he steals it without a throw.
Yeah, but it's like you said, John, there are 2 outs now.
I mean, if he had done it with Sanchez up there, then he could have scored had Sanchez hit that same fly ball.
See, Lilly never even looked at him. I mean, he does that. I mean, he does it quite often. That's why it's easy to steal a base on him. I mean, you can steal bases on Lilly all day, but you don't wait till there's 2 outs and then do it.
That ball is right under the feet of Wynn. They do a quick Texas 2-step to get out of the way of it.
I think one of the problems Lily's going to have, you know, now that he is, you know, a pretty good pitcher and guy that they're counting on, he's going to have trouble holding runners on because he does not look a lot of times either first or second.
1 ball and 2 strikes. The Mariners for the second inning in a row have a runner at third. Ichiro on deck. He would be next. Curveball, and that was kind of a lollipop, but fouled back out of play by Wilson. So I mean, he didn't steal. I think when Cameron struck out, he needed to steal third. We were talking about it at the time.
Right.
But Cameron also has got to get him to third.
Right. But it's so easy to steal bases on Lilly. I think that's
strike 3 called in the inside corner. So Lilly living dangerously, getting through it. The Mariners are 0 for 5 with men in scoring position.
It's a final in Philadelphia. Reds with a 4-3 lead in the 9th, and Chris Rietzma gets Tomas Perez to end it. 4-3 Reds, so the Phils miss a golden opportunity, guys, to get back in first in that wild card race.
All right, there's ball 1 to Eric Chavez. Leading off for Oakland here in the second inning, the cleanup hitter. Chavez with 27 homers, 96 runs batted in, a .279 batting average.
pretty bat, too. Look at that. It's nice.
I never
Hey, I know, but I noticed guys lumber.
An aficionado of the aesthetics of lumber.
But I noticed their lumber, and that's a very attractive piece of lumber there.
So you kind of wish that you'd maybe had that?
Yeah, I wish I had a piece of lumber like that.
Oh, that's a base hit. Right over the head of Guillen.
Nice hitting there by Chavez. It's going the other way. See, that bat sounds good. Did you hear that? Had a great sound to it, too.
Well, I'm into the sound of it.
Yeah, well, it had a great sound.
But the look of it, I'm not that into.
Now batting, number 10.
Good hitting all the way.
First base.
I mean, listen. That's a big league sound right there.
When I heard that sound, I went, ooh.
Yeah, that's a great sound.
All right, here's Hatterberg. And if they get that sound too often, it'll be bad news for Mesh. His job is to keep that sound from occurring. Hatterberg takes a strike. Hatterberg hitting .252. So he hasn't had that sweet sound off the bat, perhaps as much as he would have hoped, hitting only .252. Chavez at first. He's back to the bag. Chavez has 8 steals.
One scout told me, John, he said, the thing that is unusual about the A's is they do have some guys that could steal some bases. Tejada could steal 20 bases. They think Chavez could steal, you know, maybe 20 bases. But they don't play that way. It's not ability. It's just the style of play that they have here in Oakland.
Well, you know, I mean, when power became really part of the game after the Babe, 30s, 40s, into the 50s, nobody stole.
Right.
Right? Mantle, Mays, guys like that, they could have stolen a lot more bases than they did. But that wasn't the game. There were, back in the 50s, there were teams that would lead the league with 30 steals for the team.
Well, you're right. Maury Wills brought the stolen base back into the game. But the Dodgers needed it because they had Koufax, Drysdale, Osteen, all those great pitchers who could shut the opposition down.
Sandy Koufax, oh my Drysdale, Maury Wills, we love you so. And we defy the J-I-N-T-S, Giants. That was the Danny Kaye song from 1962, the Dodger song.
Yeah. Oh, I got my glasses on. We're in a day game, John. To take the day games off.
Chavez has the bat. You've got the shades.
Yeah, well, if I had a choice, I'd take the bat.
The shades are a little more useful to you now, if you don't mind me saying so.
No, you're correct. They're 100% correct.
A curveball. And it went under the glove. Sanchez did not pick it up. That could have been a double play. Instead, the A's have runners at first and third. And the Mariner defense, which has been so strong all year, betrays them.
Well, but that shows you the speed of Chavez, who went around the third on the ball.
Meanwhile, here's an update from Scott Reese.
All right, guys, Dodgers and the Giants. L.A. still with slim wild card hopes, and Sean Green trying to make dreams come true off of the Cal Poly product. Kevin Correa, 2-run shot in the first inning, 18th of the year for Green. And gentlemen, it is Sunday, so Barry Bonds rests, not in the lineup today against Kazi Shi. Quickly want to get in the Royals and White Sox, and KC a 10-4 winner, so those two teams now tied in the Central. Back to John and Joe.
And there's ball one to Ramon Hernandez. Wow. Could that, I mean, that play could be the play.
Yeah, I mean, it appeared to me that it was going to be a double play. It should have been. But it seemed like the ball stayed down. It was bouncing, and then it seemed like it stayed down, and he wasn't down on it.
There's Hernandez. Now, let's take a look at it, Joe.
Now, watch, it's a chopper. The ball is bouncing. Right there, it's bouncing. And it stayed down, but it was still bouncing. I mean, no, see, it stayed down. It was bouncing, and then it stayed down. But that's why you get down low. It's easier to come up than it is to go down.
Now, Mesh is going for the strikeout right here, right? I mean, get the strikeout, then get the double play, and they don't score.
Well, that would be what he would have in mind. But, I mean, and this is the difference. The A's have a guy at third with less than 2 outs. Let's see if they can get him home. The Mariners were not able to do that in the first inning.
Jermaine Dye up next, and there's that protective good job there, and it worked. He fouled it off.
That's a good job by Hernandez. I mean, he realizes I'm trying to put the ball in play. And, you know, we saw the Mariners overswing. We saw Boone chase a ball up and out of the strike zone with a big swing. We saw Cameron with a big swing. Well, we see Hernandez here just trying to put the ball in play. And that's the way, I mean, even if he hits into a double play, you get a run. Obviously, that's not what you want, but you want him to put the ball in play.
That hit him. And that hurts. And Hernandez stops halfway to first with the pain. One of the A's trainers is going to come out and see if he can help. So Mesh trying to put him away, instead puts him on. Ken Maka, the manager, also comes out. I mean, this guy has been one of the top catchers in the league this year. He has rejuvenated himself as a hitter.
Well, the tough thing is, I mean, the ball runs in, but remember the pitch before was a breaking ball away, and he went out and fouled it, and he's probably looking for something away. I mean, he was just diving into that one. I mean, he never had a chance to get out of the way.
I mean, that looked like he got him right on the tip of the elbow.
Yeah, but I mean, he was definitely moving into the ball. I mean, there was no way he could get out of the way of that.
And they're trying to determine the extent of the damage in there.
Well, and you know, one of the tough things, I mean, Hernandez has hit at 20. He's hit 21 home runs this year. And the A's are home. You know, they kind of depend on the home run.
He's been one of their top guys. Adam Melhuse, the backup catcher, is warming up. Hernandez got clobbered yesterday in a big play. Ben Davis tried to score on an Ichiro double. Ichiro hit the double, and they made a play on Davis. Looked like they might get him, but Davis would not be denied.
Well, you know, if you watch this play closely, now watch the ball's in his hand. Now watch it hits Joe West right there. It hits Joe West's shin guard, and that knocks the ball out of his hand. Actually, Ben Davis didn't knock it out of his hand, because when Davis hit him, he still had the ball in his hand, in his bare hand, and when he took it over, it hit Joe West's right shin guard, and well, hit his shin guard and came out.
So he got a hit by Ben Davis, and then in turn ran into the blue cowboy.
Now watch his ball. The ball's in his hand right here. See, he still got it. I mean, he's holding on to the ball. You can see right there. He's holding the ball. Now he's going to go down and watch it hit Joe West right there, and then it comes out right there. He hit everything on Joe West. I mean, he ran into Joe West. His head hits him, but the ball hit Joe West's shin guard. His hand did, and that jarred the ball out. He did things correctly, because you take the ball out of the glove and hold it in your hand when you're going to have a collision like that. But he was knocked into Joe West, and the ball came out.
So catchers take a beating anyway, but the last couple of days for Ramon Hernandez, it's ridiculous.
Well, it's going to be difficult as the game progresses, because, I mean, it's going to tighten up. I mean, you get hit on the elbow, and it just starts to tighten.
So whether he's running, he's going to stay in the run. Whether or not he's going to be able to stay in through the rest of the 9 innings remains to be seen.
Right.
The bases are loaded. The Mariners will give away a run here with the middle infielders back looking for the double play to get that double play. Oakland thinking of a big inning. Jermaine Dye, the veteran, down the third base line, but foul.
And this is a big, big moment in the Mariners season. I mean, if they can't get out of this with a minimum of damage, you know, their season could be basically over, especially as far as winning the Western Division.
But even they'd be 2.5 back of Boston.
And 3 in the loss column, which is 3 with 6 to go, and the loss column is pretty difficult to make up.
Jermaine Dye, 2 hits in 10 at bats. You see Tejada's hurting a little bit there. The trainer is now working on him in the dugout. As Dye takes a ball. 1 ball, 1 strike. Dye 2 hits in 10 career at bats against Mesh.
I'm watching Mesh. I mean, he's throwing hard. He seems like he has good velocity. I'm not sure how much movement he actually has on the fastball.
Oh, beautiful hook right there.
He's got movement on that one. Good breaking ball.
And he wasn't throwing a good breaking ball in the first inning.
Well, the one thing you have to do if you're a pitcher, you keep throwing your pitches. Don't give up on them, because you realize that you need all of your pitches to go 9 innings, 8 innings, whatever. You just can't give up if you can't throw a strike in the first inning or 2.
Chavez, Hatterberg, Hernandez, the runners, nobody out. He went back to it again, but too far out, and Dye was not tempted. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Now, the one problem you have here, you have the bases loaded, 2 and 2. You do not want to go 3 and 2. So whatever you decide, you have to say, I'm going to make it happen right here. If you're the pitcher, you're the Mariners. If that means throwing a fastball, whatever, you have to do it right here.
There it is, and that's a base hit to center. Chavez scores. Hatterberg will be stopped at third as Cameron comes up throwing.
Good hitting by Jermaine Dye.
1-0. The Athletics are leading, and still nobody out. That missed double play ball, huge.
Well, I mean, the double play ball should have had no one on with 2 outs. Instead, you had first and third, no one out. Well, they try to go inside with a fastball. He throws it up and out over the plate. I mean, he missed the target by, 20 inches. I mean, watch this. It's set up inside. The ball's out over the plate. Jermaine Dye, good hitting, just goes right back through the middle with it. Good job by Cameron. Well, you try to get on the board first, and that's what's important. And they're on the board.
The Mariner bullpen gets busy. Here is Mark Ellis, and he curves him for a called strike. Mark Ellis, 248, 8 home runs, 45 driven in.
The problem is, John, when you're Mesh, you try to go inside with 2 strikes to strike out Hernandez, you hit him. They wanted him to go inside again with 2 strikes, and he couldn't do it.
And the curveball. And quickly 0-2 to Ellis.
I mean,
so
it's a mental game.
But also a lack of command.
Right. It was a mental game. I mean, he got the ball inside on Hernandez. Hernandez didn't get out of the way, so he gets hit. And they asked for that ball in there again. It's just hard mentally for him to get the ball in there again. So what does he do? He leaves it out over the plate.
Oakland with a chance for a big inning. Remember, they got only 1 run here in the Friday ball game, and they were beaten 6-1. They got 3 runs yesterday, beaten 9-3. But now they have a 1-0 lead, and the bases loaded, nobody out. The bloop, and that's going to fall. Base hit. Hatterberg in to score. Hernandez to third. 1 base at a time. The Athletics have 2 runs home from the bottom of the batting order here, and still nobody out.
Another good job of hitting. That was that strikeout curveball, and it was down, but a good job by Ellis just to punch it into center field. Again, just trying to put the bat on the ball. Watch him cut down on his swing. There's that breaking ball diving away, and he just reaches out and flicks it to center field. This is good 2-strike hitting. I want to put the ball in play, and he does.
I mean, that ball was several inches off the outside corner.
But it's, I mean, just real good concentration and focus. And he focused on what he had to do, and he got the job done. Just put the ball in play.
Now Oakland's 9th place hitter Eric Burns comes up. Still nobody out. Julio Mateo is up in the bullpen. Burns, .265 average, Bay Area native. Grew up on the other side of the bay. And that's ball 1. Going back to that 0-2 pitch, Joe, he just thrown him 2 of those breaking balls.
Right.
I mean, why not the fastball on the fist to him at that point?
I'm just telling you, it's hard. I mean, you know, it seems easy. It's the logical thing to do, John. But when you're standing out there in the middle of the diamond, so much goes through your mind, you know, from a psychological standpoint. You know, I had Hernandez set up 0-2. I tried to go in. I hit him. I got dive. I'm going to try to throw the fastball in. I don't get it in. So a base hit. So what do? I'm going to try to strike the next guy out with a curveball.
And now it is 2-0 to Burns. And Wilson's going to go out and talk to young Gil Mesh. Well, the Athletics have had 2 consecutive hits after getting the bases loaded here. The Mariners have had 5 men come to bat with a chance to knock in a run from third or from second, and they've not had a hit yet.
Yeah. Well, and the approaches have been different. I mean, they've had the different guys up there. Boone, you know, is an RBI man. He's a big-time slugger. So he went up there trying to drive the ball, and then he ended up striking out. The A's guys that they've had up in these situations are guys that are putting the ball in play. And both times they put the ball in play with 2 strikes into center field, and that's what you want. I mean, you hit the ball into center field, and and you get an RBI, but the main thing is you want to get the ball in the air.
Bases loaded, middle infield, double play depth, and now it is 3-0. And it's going from bad to worse in a hurry for Gil Mesh. The second batter of the inning, Hatterberg, got a base hit on a 1-ball, 2-strike count. Hernandez hit by a 1-ball, 2-strike pitch. Dye got a base hit on a 2-ball, 2-strike count. Ellis a base hit on an 0-2 count. And that is a 4-pitch walk. Hernandez comes in to score. It is 3-0, still nobody out. And Bob Melvin, with the top of the order coming up just now, is going to make a change.
Well, he can't go any longer. Remember, this game, if the Mariners do not win, I mean, they're in real dire straits. And I think Mesh just lost it. I mean, he lost confidence in being able to spot the ball.
And ball 4 to Eric Burns. The big crowd at the Coliseum celebrating in the sunshine. Miguel Tejada leading the cheers in the dugout. Oakland ahead by 3. Julio Mateo, 24-year-old right-hander from the Dominican Republic, facing the leadoff man Billy McMillan. Bases loaded, nobody out, and 3 runs already in for the Athletics. They would still give away a run to get the double play ball, and that is a foul ball. The middle infielders looking for a pair here. Sanchez at short, Boone at second, and you see Mateo's numbers. A young guy with a great arm and tough to hit.
Yeah, Great stuff. Great movement on all of his pitches.
McMillan hit a fly ball to left center his first time. 1 ball, 1 strike. And the curveball, strike 2.
And he has a very good breaking ball. I mean, that's the key, because he has such an overpowering fastball. You have to be ready. Plus, he has good movement on his pitches.
Jermaine Dye drove in the first of the runs. He's at third. Ellis drove in a run. And then Burns with a bases loaded walk to force in a run. He's at first. Nobody out. Oakland trying to end it right here in this inning. That one is hit well. Right center field. Way back there. That ball is up against the base of the wall, and here they go. Dye scores. Ellis coming home. Out at the plate.
Man, that was a great throw, a great tag at home plate by Dan Wilson. The Mariners handle that as well as you can possibly handle a relay.
But, Joe, you talked about earlier, Ellis was at second. He's got to score on that play.
We know that, but I mean,
they did handle it beautifully, but there should not have been a play on it.
I agree. It's amazing sometimes what guys are doing. I mean, that ball bounces twice. Ichiro comes up, makes a perfect throw, gets the ball in. Boone takes it on the side. Now he makes a perfect, I mean, this is right there. And a great block of the plate, a great call there by Bill Miller at home plate, the umpire. I mean, he was in perfect position to make that call.
Now the official score is giving McMillan a double. How can he give him a double when the guy who was at second didn't score?
Well, I guess they can, because if the guy just goes to third, they can still give him a double.
Well, no, the runner from first stopped at third if the guy from second didn't score, right?
Well, yeah. But I guess they're calling it a double, and then you call it fielder's choice. I guess that's what they're doing.
The fielder's choice.
I know. I'm trying to help him out.
Ellis should have been more than halfway to third.
Well, we know that.
Waiting to see if it was caught or not.
We talked about that earlier.
See, that's why I knew. You'd already explained that.
You do not tag up unless you're sure they're going to catch the ball.
Now, Ellis is at second.
He's standing there. Now he realized it, but now he realized it too late. But this is just a perfect relay, John. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. Perfect strike by Boone. Perfect block of the plate by Dan Wilson. I mean, that's beautiful. That's beautiful baseball right there. Great defensive baseball.
Beautiful baseball by the Mariners. Poor base running by the Athletics.
Correct. Look at Dan Wilson. There's no place to go. He can't get to the plate. I mean, he can't get there. I mean, I mean, he's blocking the plate, making the catch, and the tag all at once. I'm trying to figure this a little bit. I realize Miguel Tejada's up next, but you could walk Durazo and then maybe get a ground ball double play to get out of this. Now you have to get 2 guys out.
And well, they may walk Durazo anyway, but not the way you're talking about.
I think what you have to do, and we're talking about mindset and the way pitchers think. Now he's pitching around Durazo, and say he walks him. Now he goes to first base. Now he has to start all over with Tejada. And that's after I just walked the guy. If you walk him intentionally, it's a different story.
The infield is in all the way around. Runners at second and third. 3-1 the count. And high in the air. And medium deep right center. Cameron's going to go for it. Tagging at third is Burns. He has lots of speed. Cameron's going to throw toward third, but both runners advance. So they pitch to Durazo, and Durazo delivers a run. McMillan moves over to third. Sacrifice fly for Durazo. 5 runs are home for Oakland.
Well, they weren't trying to pitch around in the 3-1 fastball right down the middle.
Well, you know, that's the other thing. I mean, once it got to 3-1, why give in to him there? So here's Tejada. He drove one deep to right center his first time. He is 0 for 4 lifetime against Mateo. Runner at third, 2 down. Ooh, a hanger right over the middle, but called a strike.
I think that should have been, that's the manager's call. walking. You got first base open. As good as Tejada is, he's still right-handed. If it's a ground ball, you turn the double play, you get out of it without having to get 2 guys out. Now you give him 2 shots at getting all the runners in.
So you got the percentage, the righty versus the righty, and a chance to play the infield back for the double play.
Chance to get out of the inning.
And you only have to face one of them.
Exactly. But, I mean, look, a lot of things go through your mind at that point. I mean, he may say, well, I don't want to put Mateo in a position where the bases are loaded. I don't know. But he came in with them loaded. So.
Well, yeah. But that's, he knows more about Mateo than anybody else.
He may decide that he didn't want to put him in that position.
And a pop-up. This is Boone. Staggering as he stared up into that bright, harsh glare of the sun. But he makes the catch. Oakland bats around. 5 runs a home. Ichiro coming up. Ted Lilly to Ichiro. And this has been a tale of lost opportunities for the Seattle Mariners so far. Ichiro led off the game, reaching second base. They had him at second, nobody out, and they could not get him home.
And what's funny, John, is that the Mariners are normally a type team that pecks away at you, and the A's are, use the Big Bang Theory, but their guys did the job. By hitting singles, sacrifice flies, they did exactly what they were supposed to do. They didn't have a home run in the whole inning, but they did everything else correctly.
The Mariners not getting it done, not fundamentally, not situationally. And then defensively, well, Tejada gonna have to hurry. Got him! And that doesn't happen often. 1 away, and here's an update now with Scott Reese.
All right, guys, focusing on the National League Central race. It's the Cards and the Stros. St. Louis up 5-4, make it 6-4. Scotty Rowland, 47th double of the season, plays Albert Pujols. So the Cardinals with a 6-4 lead now. They're on the bottom of the 8th inning at Busch. Gentlemen?
All right, so the Cubs, big Cardinal fans for a change, at least on this day.
I saw an interesting note yesterday. Mark Pryor, who pitches for the Cubs, said he couldn't pull for St. Louis. Says he hates them so much he could not pull for them. Even though they could have helped him yesterday, he said, I can't pull for them. I've got to hope that we win all our games and somebody else helps us.
Well, that 5-game series they had at Wrigley.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Beginning of this month.
With the bean balls and everything, yeah.
Those two teams, all the players on those two sides, they're going to hate each other for a long time.
Yeah. Well, he definitely said, he says, I can't pull for him. I mean, you would think you could put that away for 2 days in the fact of the pennant race.
So if the Cardinals win, he's going to say, well, good, but it wasn't like he was rooting for him to do it. All right. In other words, if that's the only way we can get into the postseason is for the Cardinals to beat somebody, the heck with it.
Well, one of the things we talked about is how great Tejada has played defensively. See, Ichiro just kind of slaps at the ball. Tejada comes in, quickly gets rid of it, and he gets something on the throw. Very close play at first.
Wow.
Very close.
I don't know about that one. Throw's got to be there before the runner hits the
very
bag.
close play.
1 ball and 2 strikes. Curveball, and Guillen fouls it back to the screen. Suddenly, Ted Lilly's got a big lead with which to work. You see Tejada, and the longer the season has gone on, the more consistently strong he's been defensively
and offensively. Got to remember the first 33 games, he was still working on the fact that he'd been told they weren't going to offer him a contract at the end of the year, and everyone says it didn't bother him, but it had to bother him.
2-2 now to Guillen. He had a sacrifice bunt his first time. But the Mariners had all those chances to get ahead, and then their situational hitting was not there. They didn't score. And then their defense betrayed them in Oakland's second inning. The defense, which has been the best in baseball.
Right.
But they did not turn a double play, which would have
changed
turned the whole thing
inning
around with probably nobody scoring. They had a runner at first and nobody out, and a double play ball was hit. And they ended up getting nobody out, and that was really the fuel that got Oakland going. On the third baseline, there's Chavez. And out number 2. Chavez led off the second with a single. That brought up Hatterberg against Mesh.
Well, Mesh falls off to the first base side, so this ball is chopped back through the middle. He couldn't get it. You can see the position he's in. He can't get it. And then it gets past him, and it's bouncing, and then it stays down. But infielders are supposed to make, you know, be ready for the ball to stay down. It looked like it was going to be a big hop to him, as a simple double play, but the ball took an erratic hop, and he wasn't able to make the play.
Now Boone, and the breaking ball in the dirt. 1 ball, no strikes. And a big moment in that first inning. Ichiro was at third with 1 out, and Boone was not able to get him home. He ended up striking out on a pitch that was up over his head. And the off-speed pitch, and it is 1-1.
Again, a different approach by the A's than we saw with the Mariners. With 2 strikes, the A's were just putting the ball in play, and the Mariners had a couple of times with a runner at third and second and third, and they struck out over swinging.
Slider in there for a strike. 1 ball and 2 strikes now to Boone. Boone has 33 homers and 113 runs batted in. 5th in the league in RBIs. Fastball into center and into the glove of Burns. The Mariners do not get anybody on this time. Chavez coming up again to lead off an inning. 5-0 Oakland. Chavez leads off for Oakland here in the 3rd inning. He led off the 2nd inning as well and hit a single to left field, and that started a 5-run rally for the Athletics. Now he's facing Julio Mateo. Gil Mesh never got a man out in the 2nd inning. He went 1 inning plus and was charged with 5 runs and 4 hits. That changeup raked into right field, but right to Ichiro. And there is 1 away. With us here today, Sam Ryan down near the Oakland dugout. Sam?
And, John, there's a buzz in Oakland this week, and that's because pitcher Mark Mulder was seen playing catch in the outfield before the 2 last games that we've seen. Now, he had been rehabbing in Arizona a fractured right femur. He told me even though he's not on crutches anymore, the chance of him pitching in the postseason, should they make it that far, pretty much a long shot. He told me his arm is fine. He's been keeping it in shape since last month, but his right leg's still a little weak, guys.
All right, thanks, Sam.
Well, I think if you're the Oakland A's, you're trying to get Mulder ready for next year. I mean, you can't take a chance with a guy with that much talent and rushing him back too soon.
And that is what the A's medical people have said. That what they're actually trying to do is just make sure he's ready at 100% for next year.
Right.
But, you know, Mulder still has it in his mind that, hey, if this happened, that happened, it just might be possible.
Well, you'd hate to have a guy out for a couple of months and then have him thrown into the heat of a playoff game.
Scott Hatteberg with 1 out, facing Mateo. 2 balls and a strike to count to him. Hatteberg hit that ground ball that we just looked at a little while ago, past the mound. It should have been a double play, but went for a hit. Mulder already had 15 wins at the time that he suffered that stress fracture in his hip. A soaring fly ball to right. Ichiro started back, waiting for it. And he was battling the sun out there. 2 men down. Here's Scott Reese again.
All right, guys, I tell you, that Felipe Alou is a tactical genius. Barry Bonds 0 for 8 lifetime against Kazi Shi, so he sits him down and in place of Todd Linden. And what does he do? Hits his first major league home run and the 12th in the history of Dodger Stadium to reach the Loge level. So Todd Linden now 754 shy of Hank Aaron as we chase the home run leaders.
Right, Scott. And Todd Linden, the Giants feel he's perhaps their best hitting prospect out of their minor league system right now. He spent most of the year at Fresno. The big guy, switch hitter, has some speed, a strong arm in the outfield, got some pop. And his first home run against the Dodgers. And that is surely a sign that a Giant could be headed toward future greatness. Bobby Bonds in his first game hit a grand slam against the Dodgers.
And that's where Hernandez got hit by Gil Mesh.
So he's got some equipment this time. 1 ball, 1 strike, and a slider over the outside for a strike. I say slider more like a curveball, sharp curveball.
He's got big breaks on his breaking ball. Mateo has great stuff. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if one of these days he doesn't become a starter someplace, if not with Seattle, someplace else.
It could happen next year, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking to trade for someone, you need another pitcher. This guy looks like he could fit the bill. He's got enough pitches that he could be a starter and go through a rotation 2 or 3 times. Through a batting order, I should say, 2 or 3 times.
Although most of his time in the minor leagues, they've been grooming him as a reliever. That ball down the left field line, up against the wall. Hernandez for second, and he'll make it there as Wynn throws in toward third.
And the A's are a team that's, pretty much try to get a lot of walks or whatever, but with 2 strikes, I like the way their approach is. I mean, they have a good approach. With 2 strikes, they're not over swinging. And as a result, they've been able to get some 2-strike hits in this ball game that have really helped them.
6 hits for the Athletics. They lead 5-0. And Jermaine Dye comes up now. Dye single to center against Mash to drive in the first of those 5 runs. And that curveball in there for a strike. The A's, after they got the bases loaded with nobody out, each of the next 5 hitters then drove in 1 run.
Right.
5 straight guys each drove in a run.
And that's un-Oakland-like because they're usually going for it. But they showed me a lot of professionalism.
Oh. So Dye hit by a pitch.
Baseball has a lot of quirks to it in that if you're a hitter that they like to pitch inside, you're going to get hit a lot. And it's not because they're throwing at you. It's that they're trying to pitch to the inside part of the plate, and they say, if I miss, I'm going to miss off the plate inside. And if you can't get out of the way, you're going to get hit. I mean, you see these guys. I'm watching Hernandez. Now I see Dye. I mean, they're not able to get out of the way of the pitches. You're going to get hit a lot if you can't handle a pitch inside.
Guillen goes out, and he's called off by Cameron, and that is the inning. 2 men left for Oakland. We go to the 4th inning. Edgar Martinez, then John Olerud coming up. Oakland is ahead 5-0.
ESPN2's Major League Baseball, brought to you by Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. Get lost in a Reese's.
I'm John Miller with Joe Morgan, your pennant race Major League Baseball telecasters.
I like that.
Here's Edgar Martinez, and he takes low for ball 1 from Ted Lilly.
Let's only do pennant race games now.
Okay.
This rest of the way.
All right, I'm thinking maybe next Sunday.
Yeah, pick one out. Somebody tied or something.
We'll drive up there.
Yeah.
And that's a ball too high. Because I heard that all the places to stop along the way. When you get a little hungry, a little tired, need a little break.
I've been up and down this road quite a while, a few times. So. Well, one thing, John, we're looking at Ted Lilly. He's won his last few starts. He's been throwing the ball very, very well. I mean, it's like all of a sudden he found himself. I think he's won 4 in a row. I mean, he's all of a sudden just said, hey, I'm the guy. And I like that. I mean, he's stepped up.
Filled the void created with the loss of Mulder.
He stepped up and said, hey, and it's like, I'm told that, I don't know, I've heard 3 or 4 different things about the change today, but I'm told that, Lilly said, hey, I'm ready, give me the ball. And, Harden had the back spasm, so it was an easy decision, I guess.
And that is called strike 3 to Edgar Martinez.
And you do not see that happen very often. That looked like a pitch that moved away from Edgar. I know Lilly doesn't throw a screwball, but it looked like this ball moved away. And see that ball tailing away from Edgar. And clearly it's in the strike zone. See him reach out there as it tails away.
1 down. Here is John Olerud, 7 in a row retired by Lilly, and a fastball to the outside to Olerud. Strike 1.
I've always said, as you know, for 14 years I've been saying it, that is that left-handers that can throw strikes can win in the big leagues. And if you have good stuff, I mean, you can be a star.
Well, Mark Mulder.
Yeah, exactly.
Barry Zito.
I mean, if you can throw left-handed pitchers, I mean, if you look around the league, the ones that can throw strikes and then have good stuff, I mean, they're going to be stars.
Andy Pettitte.
Yeah, Andy Pettitte's a big star. Won his 20th game yesterday. It's interesting, John. We've gone several years not having many multiple 20-game winners. all of a sudden this year we're going to have, you know, quite a few. I mean, we already have 2 in the American League. Loaiza has 19, and Ortiz won 20 in the National League.
Olerud is ruled to a swung at that one.
Yeah, I thought he swung too.
Strike 3.
And Bill Miller didn't even ask for help.
Got more baseball tonight at 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific on ESPN 2. Sunday Night Baseball presented by Nextel. The Anaheim Angels, the champions of the baseball world last year, with Garrett Anderson up against Alex Rodriguez, Rafael Palmeiro, and the Texas Rangers, Ramon Ortiz 15-12 against the Rangers ace John Thompson 13-13. 7:30 Eastern, 6:30 Central, 4:30 Pacific on ESPN 2.
And it seems that Lilly has gotten into a groove, John. First pitch strikes, and that's what you want when you have a 5-run lead.
Change up to Wynn, down and away. Wynn hit a double his first time. The Mariners are down 5-0. And Lilly seems to have been strengthened by that.
Well, it always helps you. It helps you relax out there with a 5-run lead, and I think that was a little bit of payback there for the 2 guys that have gotten hit. And that's something that, you know, hey, you expect. You don't have to hit a guy. You don't want to hit anyone when you have a 5-run lead anyway. But you just let them know you don't appreciate the fact that 2 of your guys have been hit. Now you move on.
A little bloop and caught by Ellis. 3 up, 3 down, and that's 9 in a row retired by Ted Lilly. 5-0 Oakland, middle of the 4th. The Athletics, they got a scare this weekend from the Mariners, who won the first 2 games of the series and won them handily. But Oakland, with a 5-run second inning today, has a commanding lead in this one. And if they can hold on to it, they'll come out of here still 4 games up, and the Mariners with only 6 to play. And Eric Burns, first ball swinging. He's got extra bases into the left field corner. Randy Wynn tracks it down, and Burns is standing at second with a leadoff double. Meanwhile, stuff going on in the National League, and here's Scott Reese.
Yeah, we've got the final now in St. Louis. The Stros and the Cards 6-4 in the 9th. Izzy with 1 out and 2 on gets Jeff Kent into the 5-4-3. That ends at 7th career save against the Stros. The Cards do win at 6-4. They're back within 4 games now, guys, of the Astros. Chicago, after a win today, just a half game out in the Central. John and Joe.
All right. Well, they're back within 4, but they only have 5 to play.
Yeah, but that's the old saying, John. What did Yogi say? It's never over till what is it?
It ain't over till it's over.
It ain't over till it's over. And that's a fact.
And a base hit to right for McMillan. Burns is going to be waved. Here's Ichiro with the great arm. Swing!
Ichiro could not. It seemed like he didn't get rid of the ball as quickly then as he normally does. Obviously made a strong and accurate throw, but it seemed to take him just a little longer to get rid of that one. Good job there by McMillan. Not only was he pull the ball and make sure he gets Burns over, but he does more than that. He gets him home. Now watch this. Well, no, he got rid of it pretty quickly. I saw his hat come off. I guess that's what it was. But Burns, with some speed, was able to score.
So it is 6-0, and Mateo's given up a double and a single to start off this inning. Here is Durazo, who hit a sacrifice fly his first time.
You know what's funny? We've talked about the A's the last few years and their on-base percentage, taking a lot of pitches. First pitch fastball to Burns, double. First pitch fastball to McMillan, and he hits a single. So they're jumping on these fastballs.
So you can't just always rely on them taking that first pitch.
Well, I think that's one of the things that happened early in the year. I was talking to some of the other managers around the league. They said, if they're going to take pitches, we're going to throw strikes. And a lot of teams did that. And in doing that, a lot of the A's, their on-base percentage went down. Their on-base percentage is not very good.
Well, it's one of the worst in the league, actually.
So the point is, teams were saying, hey, we're not going to let you stand there and take pitches and get us in the hole. But that hasn't worked either so far.
Double play ball. Boone to second one. And Sanchez doubles him up at first. 2 down, nobody on. But a run is in. Well, they scored 4 runs in the first 2 games combined, and they've scored 6 already, and we're in the 4th inning of this game.
And John, that's one of the reasons teams usually cannot sweep another team. You play well the first 2 days or whatever, but one of those 3 games, usually a team's offense is going to show itself and be able to, win a ball game for you. And the pitching's going to shore up as well.
Tejada bounces it foul, and for a moment he thought, uh-oh, is that fair? Do I need to run?
He's having fun. You know what I mean? We talked about that last Sunday. The guy has fun playing baseball. Watch this swing, and then he does a little cha-cha-cha here. Let's see. Well, he's getting on his toes, ready to go.
In the air, left center. Wynn and Cameron, Tejada is 0 for 3. But the Athletics get a quick run. 6-0 Oakland. We head to the 5th inning. Cameron coming up. From the Oakland Coliseum, the Network Associates Oakland Coliseum. John Miller and Joe Morgan bringing you the Athletics and the Mariners. Oakland ahead 6-0 in the 5th inning. Time enough for Seattle to mount a comeback as Lilly. I mean, Lilly has really worked that inside corner against all of these Mariner hitters all day long.
And the point is he's throwing strikes in there. I mean, first pitch strikes. He's getting ahead of everyone, and when you do that, you're going to usually control the game.
10 of his 16 first pitches have been strikes, and he slings that slider through there. Strike 2. Cameron struck out his first time. Sanchez and Wilson to follow. This is the last third of the Mariners batting order. And back to the screen, foul. I mean, Lilly's been very impressive, and he's apparently been having some shoulder problems. And again, Lilly.
I thought it was back spasm.
Well, then they came out. They leveled.
Okay,
right?
they
said, well, actually, his shoulder's hurting.
Oh, okay.
He had a bullpen session yesterday, as Sam Ryan reported earlier in our telecast. And then suddenly he's pitching today instead of the rookie, Rich Harden, who apparently his back.
He's got that back spasm.
He's got some back spasms. Oh. There's Burns. And that is out number 1. Back to other A's health issues. Let's go to Sam Ryan.
All right, well, Jose Guillen, John, is preparing himself to actually play through a broken hamate bone. He took batting practice the last couple of days. Told me it's really not that painful, although he is feeling a little bit of discomfort in his pinky. Last year, Anaheim's Darren Erstad suffered a broken hamate during the World Series. Still played the final 3 games even, went deep in Game 6. Now, according to doctors, Guillen can't do any more damage by playing through the injury, and Guillen told me, hey, he's ready to go, guys.
All right, and Guillen has had quite a year. Yeah. Including especially with what he did in Cincinnati earlier.
Well, John, there's a difference between playing with pain and injury. They can't injure it anymore, and you can stand the pain, then you can play. I saw an interesting thing when I was watching the Giants take batting practice one day. Marquise Grissom. You see the big barrel of tape and stuff he has at the bottom of his bat? Well, that's the knob. That's to protect the hamate bone. Oh. Yeah, that keeps you from rolling your hand over, and that's how you hurt your hamate bone, is when you roll it and you pop something in there. But that big wad of tape at the knob keeps you from doing that.
Well, apparently he injured it last Sunday night during our Sunday night telecast from the ballpark in Arlington. Tejada on the move right there. Sanchez is gone, out number 2. And Sam Ryan reporting that Guillen has taken some batting practice. This was earlier today during BP. And
catcher, Dan Wilson.
Now what's that? He's trying to injure him again. And then he got in the batting cage. All right, so here's Dan Wilson. And that is in there for a strike. So maybe Guillen will be able to get back in there and help the Athletics down the stretch. Guillen has hit .263 for Oakland. He had not done for them what he was doing for Cincinnati. I mean, he was phenomenal in Cincinnati, hitting over .330 at 23 homers. So he's had 30 homers altogether this year. I mean, a big season. 1 ball, 1 strike to Wilson. 1 ball and 2 strikes. I mean, Lilly's just been toying with the Mariners today.
I mean, he is a different looking pitcher because, John, before last week, I mean, his record against teams over 500 was 1-8. And he was 8-1 going into that start against teams below 500. He won that start, of course, so he's 9-1.
And he struck him out with the slider down and in. He has retired 12 consecutive Mariners. Chavez, Hatteberg, and Hernandez coming up.
ESPN2's Major League Baseball, brought to you by Nextel. Life's better when your cell phone has a walkie-talkie. And Quaker State, the power to reduce friction.
Here's Eric Chavez. He is singled. That started that 5-run second inning rally, and he is lined out to right. Facing Julio Mateo. Up the middle, base hit into right center. Cameron over to pick it up. Chavez 2 for 3. And now let's get an update from Scott Reese.
Well, there are updates, and then there are updates, guys. Dodgers down 5-2 in the 4th. Robin Ventura leading off the inning against Kevin Correa, and he goes straight away center field. 5th home run since joining the Dodgers. It's 5-3. Next batter, Adrian Beltre. 3 pitches later, and Rock'em Sock'em, he takes Correa out of the yard. His 22nd. It is 5-4, and would you believe the very next batter, Jeremy Burnitz, also goes yard. So the Dodgers now with back-to-back-to-back home runs. They are within, well, they've tied this one. It's 5-5 now in the 4th.
Wow. Got some action going on down there.
All 3 of them look like they were on the same type pitch, breaking ball. Look like a slider or something.
It's the 30th home run of the year for Burnitz. Meanwhile, Scott Hatteberg, the hitter, he is singled and flied out. 1 ball and no strikes. Runner at first. Nobody out. Mateo on the mound, and the bullpen is busy for Seattle. And that's in there for a strike.
One thing that the A's have showed me a little bit of smart hitting here today, because they were struggling. The Mariners were struggling to throw strikes. Well, what they've done since that time is they've gone up there sitting on first pitch fastball. I mean, the first pitch to Chavez here, high fastball, base hit. All of them are jumping on that first fastball because they know the Mariners do not want to get behind in the count.
Chavez back to first, as you saw. Kaz Sasaki, who had been the Mariners' closer up until an injury put him on the disabled list. Since he has come back, Hasegawa has been so successful in that role that he has kept it. Sasaki getting ready in the 5th inning. That one is hit hard to center, a liner, but Cameron. Oh, it almost sailed over his head.
I think the ball is traveling a little better than people realize out there. But Cameron, Gold Glove winner.
And this has always been a ballpark in September, especially when there are no clouds in the sky. It can be tough.
I have to tell you, everybody else seems to be having trouble. I haven't seen Ichiro have any trouble on any balls hit out there. That helps to have a lot of hang time there.
Now here is Ramon Hernandez. He's been hit by a pitch. He is doubled, and he showed bunt right there with the third baseman Guillen playing very deep at third.
You know, we were having these updates and, you know, showing the other pennant races and things around the league. I've read a couple of things this week that kind of I didn't think were accurate. A lot of people are talking about how the White Sox fell down and Kansas City struggled. I think you have to give the Minnesota Twins a lot of credit.
They're hot.
Yeah, I mean, they went out and took it. Everyone in that division, they were staying pretty close, back and forth, you know, the first half of the season. Well, you got to give Minnesota credit. They just took the bull by the horns and just say, hey, we're gone. They beat Chicago 5 straight games in a pennant race. After losing the first 2 in Chicago, they bounced back. I mean, they've just played magnificent baseball, so you just have to give them credit. I don't think it's the other teams have fallen down. I think you just have to give them credit.
Well, the Twins have been hot today. They won their 9th in a row. And when they faced the White Sox head-to-head, I mean, they had put themselves in position where the White Sox were going to have to beat them.
Right.
And the Twins had already gotten themselves ahead of the White Sox, and then
swept them again.
Yeah.
So, I mean, just give them credit. I mean, they've done what every other team would like to have done, you know, here in the stretch run. Go out and just win some ball games for yourself.
That race is all but over.
Yeah, don't worry about someone else. Just do it yourself.
That's a base hit for Hernandez. Chavez to second. Now Mateo has worked 3 into third innings already in this game. He's thrown 42 pitches. So this is long duty for him.
Right. But all of it was caused because Mesh went out after 1 inning, as you said, 1 inning plus. He threw some pitches in the second inning, but basically just went 1 inning.
Now Jermaine Dye, he singled home the first Oakland run, a bases loaded single to center in the second, and he was hit by a pitch in the third. 2 men on, 1 man out. You see Dye's batting average, horrible batting average. He's off to a terrible start this year. Had 2 different injuries that have put him on the shelf. One was damaging a ligament in his knee, and he had to have some surgery to repair that. He separated his shoulder later on.
But you can see immediately they want to pitch him inside, they go inside again. But that's, again, if you're a guy that's going to pitch inside, you better learn to get out of the way or you're going to get hit a lot.
Foul tipped into the glove of Dan Wilson. Ball and a strike to Jermaine Dye. Mariners starting pitchers, I mean, today Mesh only lasted 1 inning plus. They had a 3.61 ERA before the All-Star break, but their starters have been 4.46 since then. Only 2 teams in the majors have been worse in the second half versus the first half than that, and one of them is the Detroit Tigers.
Plus, you have to think of the fact that they have such a good defensive team that they've saved them some runs. You know, some of those earned runs that wouldn't be earned by making good plays.
They're below 500 since the All-Star break. The 4 of their 5 starting pitchers have had dramatic increases in their earned run averages in the second half. And Mesh had been one of the worst. His ERA in the second half was nearly 6. That's a ground ball foul.
And again, they're pitching him inside, and Dye fouls that one off.
1-2 the count. Mark Ellis is on deck. So Moyer, he's been winning, but his ERA is above 4. Ryan Franklin is the only one of their 5 starters who's actually shown an improvement.
And he's lost more games than he's won.
See Mesh, 5.56 ERA. That was before today, so it went up even more today. And that slider a little bit off the outside. 2-2. Pretty good eye right there by Jermaine Dye to take that one.
Well, I think he took it, John, because he couldn't hit it. Well, after they've thrown you 4 or 5 pitches inside, and then all of a sudden they drop one down low and away, I mean, it's very difficult to go out there and get it.
Chavez at second, Dye at first, or rather Hernandez at first, Dye at the plate. Goes back in and misses off the inside. Full count now. All right, the runner's going to go.
Well, I mean, the A's have done that some this year. I think that 6-0, I mean, it's questionable whether you want to run yourself out of an inning, but with you being down at the bottom of the order, I would, but I'm not calling those shots.
Well, I can only find out what you think.
I think that they're running.
What the A's think, their strategy could be different.
Yeah, I think they're running.
And Chavez at second is if he runs well.
Runs well. I think we've proven that.
3-2. There they go. And it's ball 4. And the bases are loaded.
There comes a time, I mean, you want to pitch a guy inside as they did with Jermaine Dye, but there comes a time when you just have to say, I've got to throw a strike. I mean, I don't want to walk the bases loaded with 1 out. And that's what they just did by trying to hit the inside corner.
Sasaki's going to come in for the bullpen now with the bases loaded. Ellis coming up, and we'll be right back to Oakland.
ESPN2's Major League Baseball, brought to you by Nextel. Life's better when your cell phone has a walkie-talkie. And Quaker State, the power to reduce friction.
John Miller and Joe Morgan with you from the Coliseum. The A's had the bases loaded again. They lead 6-0, and here is Kaz Sasaki. And he starts him off with a splitter for a called strike. Sasaki's been on the disabled list 2 different times this year. Back in late April, early May, with a strained muscle in his lower back. And then for a couple of months, he was out when he fractured ribs on his right side, apparently in bringing his suitcase up some steps into his apartment at the end of a road trip. That's at the knees. Strike 2 call. But since returning that last time, Sasaki has not moved right back into that closer's role. 3 men on. Chavez led off the inning with a single. Hernandez got a 1-out single. He's at second. And then Dye drew a walk. He's at first. The middle infield double play depth. Third baseman Guillen. First baseman Olerud pulled in a little bit. Down the left field line. Into the corner. Way back. A grand slam. And the Athletics have busted it wide open now. 10-0 Oakland.
Well, they've made you realize that they are the Western Division champions. I mean, that's what they set out to do today, and they're taking control. I mean, they have done so well with runners in scoring position today. I mean, that's the key. I mean, when they have got the Seattle Mariners pitchers in trouble, they've made them pay.
Now Burns, and he takes ball 1. The first grand slam in the young career of Mark Ellis. 3 of those runs are charged to Julio Mateo. At the knees for a strike. Burns has walked to the bases loaded to knock in a run, or force in a run. I guess knock is not the right word. He got an RBI, and then he doubled leading off the 4th and scored a run. Mark Ellis, a grand slam. To the screen. It's the first home run today. So now 10-0. Oakland leading Seattle. So the worst case scenario has occurred for the Mariners.
Yes.
Far from jumping ahead and then maybe building on that lead. They failed to jump ahead. Just been a day of abject failure every which way you look at it. As Olerud over to make the catch, and Burns is retired for out number 2.
Well, they had 2 strikes on him, and they tried to throw a fastball up. Well, look where it is. That was supposed to be up above the shoulders, the strikeout pitch. He got it down and in, and even Mark Ellis knew when he hit it that it was gone. Poor location there. Especially with 2 strikes.
Now McMillan, the leadoff man, and a foul. Miguel Tejada was in the dugout when he hit it. He seemed to know right away.
Yeah, well, he is the captain of the ship. I mean, he leads by example. He's enthusiastic for his teammates. I mean, he shows a lot of energy over there. Not just today, but the entire season. He shows energy, even when he was struggling. He was kind of the guy. I think he's the guy that they feed off of. I mean, even today, he doesn't have any hits, but he has been a cheerleader today.
And he could be cheerleading for somebody else next year.
Well, I think he will be. And I think whoever gets him. So Crosby, that's the young kid that's going to take his spot, supposedly. We don't know any of these things.
Bobby Crosby.
Yeah, he's the minor league, Whitney Pacific Coast League Rookie of the Year. Had a good year there.
You have pretty good eyes, Joe. I was only seeing Pete Tejada.
Oh.
I wasn't seeing Crosby until you mentioned it.
But anyway, I think someone's going to get a great player. And there are a lot of teams that are looking for a shortstop. So I think he will be well sought after once the season is over.
That one is whacked. Left center. Cameron on the run. Going back. Up against the wall and a hop. McMillan has a double. And Sasaki is getting hit hard here.
And Billy McMillan's having an awesome day. That's his third base hit. And he does have an RBI.
2 doubles and a single for McMillan.
Well, you know, Sasaki, as John mentioned, was on disabled list a couple of times this year. Kind of hard to be sharp. Pitch misses the target again. High fork splitter.
Now, J.J. Poots will start to warm up in the Seattle bullpen in a September call-up. How about this one today, Joe? There have been 13 Oakland batters who have had a count that reached 2 strikes. None of them has struck out. Well, 9 of those 13 ended up reaching base one way or the other. It's a soft one. Cameron, a long run, gets there. And that's the inning. Durasso retired. But grand salami time for Mark Ellis. 10-0 Oakland. It's the top of the order for the Mariners, but this one has gotten out of hand. 10-0. The Athletics are leading, and Ichiro, who can be such a weapon in a tight ball game. And there's not much that Ichiro or any other Mariner individual could do about this one. They need base runners. They need homers. Mark Ellis hit a grand slam for the Athletics. Ichiro pops it up. Tejada going out. McMillan coming in. McMillan trying to shade the eyes of the glove. Makes the catch. Ichiro's now 1 for 3 today. Well, tomorrow night on ESPN, catch Monday Night Countdown beginning at 7:30 Eastern. Stuart Scott and company will bring you all the latest NFL news. Then get ready for some football. Oh, boy. Al Michaels, John Madden, and Lisa Guerrero in Denver. And the Oakland Raiders and the Denver Broncos. Those teams don't like each other that much.
I like that, John. The Raiders. It's the Raiders.
The Broncos have scored 67 points in their first 2 games. Can the Raiders shut them down in Denver? Monday Night Football, ABC, right after Monday Night Countdown on ESPN, then the game on ABC. Carlos Guillen, 1 ball, 1 strike to count to him. He's had a sacrifice bunt, and he has grounded out to third. You know, in hindsight, Joe, the reason the A's don't like to bunt that much with the Toronto Blue Jays, or some of these American League teams especially, it's different in this league. When you're in the National League,
right,
pitcher comes up, you want him to bunt.
Correct.
But in the American League, pitcher doesn't bat, so they don't like. Oh, by the way, that's Terrence Long in left field now, not Billy McMillan. So my apologies to Terrence. He's the one who made that catch, battling the sunshine, coming on in place of McMillan here in the 6th inning. A foul tip.
Okay, you were saying they don't like to bunt because of the DH?
Because, in other words, you got 27 outs, and why would you give away any of those outs when there's usually almost always a lot of runs are scored in American League games? So you don't give away outs.
I mean, and that's a great philosophy to have, I think, during the regular season. But when you get to the postseason, you're going to be playing against better teams. You're going to be playing against better pitching. And you're going to have to figure a way to manufacture runs. You're not going to walk out there and score 8 to 10 runs every day. And I think there comes a time when 1 run is more important than 6.
But, I mean, is that time in the very first inning with the second batter of the game?
Good point. I mean, I think it was today. I like what I saw from Seattle in the second batter of the game. And to prove it was important was the A's played their infield in. They didn't give up the run.
In other words, they thought it was just as important to prevent as what Seattle was trying to accomplish.
Yeah, because otherwise, if you're the A's, just saying you're going to play that big ball game, you just say, hey, I'll just stay back, get the out, and let them go.
Because the way the game started was Ichiro reached second base on a single and a Tejada throwing error. And Guillen, the second bat of the game, bunted him over to third. They gave away an out right there to get him to third, playing for 1 run to go ahead in the very first inning. And after he bunted him to third, Brett Boone came up, and here's Brett here in the 6th inning with a man aboard. Boone came up, and Oakland brought the infield in with 1 out.
Now, I have to tell you, bringing the infield in surprised me more than the fact that they bunted him over to third, because I know that they wanted to get ahead. You know, this is a do or die for you if you're Seattle. So you want to get ahead in the game. But it surprised me that Oakland brought their infield in the very first inning in that situation. But the fact is, they'd lost 2 games in a row also to the Mariners, and they didn't want to make this a race.
And bringing the infield in, which could contribute to a big inning. Right?
Correct.
Pop-up could drop in. That is just foul right past the feet of Cowboy Joe West, the third base umpire. Almost got him in the cowboy boots here. Well, this is Ichiro leading off the first inning. That ground ball, and Tejada's throw over the head of Hatterberg. Then with Ichiro at third, 1 out, Boone struck out on a pitch. It was over his head. Wynn led off the second inning with a double, but Cameron could not get him over, and Wilson eventually struck out looking to end the inning. And Wynn, who eventually with 2 outs stole third, was stranded there. And the Mariners never got another base runner since Randy Wynn's double until here in the 6th inning, when Guillen drew the walk with 1 out. He's at first now. Lilly has been dominant in this game. The A's bullpen, by the way, is getting busy. Ricardo Rincon has started to warm up, a left-hander. And Boone is down on strikes. He is now 0 for 3.
And that's interesting because he had a good record against Lilly coming into this ball game. So I guess it tells you Lilly's throwing the ball better today.
Sam Ryan is here with us. Let's go down to Sam.
And John, it's injury central here. Edgar Martinez playing with a broken left big toe. He's wearing a special pair of shoes topped with a Kevlar plate for protection. When they arrived, though, he got a right one instead of a left. They corrected it. You take a good look at it, you can see where the plate is right in the toe area. Now, as for the talk of retirement, he said he's going to take his time after the season before making a decision. He doesn't want to do anything he's going to regret, guys.
All right. I mean, he's having such a fine year. It would make you reconsider it. He got 24 homers, 97 batted in, hitting right around 300 as always. Bounces a curveball foul here, and playing with that broken toe, though.
Yeah, I mean, there comes a time when all athletes, have to decide or think about retirement. I mean, and whether it's this year, next year, or the year after, I mean, it just happens. And I think Edgar's doing the right thing by saying, I'm going to wait till it's over, sit back, and think about it.
And Edgar chases a fastball up out of the zone. Most of the times when Lilly's thrown that good fastball, it really hadn't been a strike.
Yeah, right. Well, these guys are chasing the fastball out of the strike zone. But, he's pitched a great ball game. I mean, you just have to give him credit. He has made all the pitches he needed to make in clutch situations.
1-2 to Edgar. And he backdoors him with the breaking ball and misses.
Remember when Randy Johnson used to throw that sidearm breaking ball, started way off the plate and then break over the outside corner?
Yeah.
And I'd made a mention at that time I'd never seen anyone hit that pitch because you give up on it. Well, Lilly's throwing a similar pitch, doesn't break as much, but he's starting it off the plate and trying to bring it back.
I mean, Randy at one time threw that slider you're talking about the same speed as Lilly's throwing his fastball.
Yeah. And you give up on it a split second and it's over the plate. It's too late to regroup.
Barry Zito looking on from adjacent to the Oakland dugout. And the fastball misses. Full count now, 3-2 to Edgar Martinez, who has been walked intentionally, and then he got called out on strikes in the 4th inning. One of the 7 strikeouts today recorded by Lilly.
Well, remember in the first inning they walked Martinez too with a runner at 3rd and 2 down. So this first couple of innings were kind of bizarre innings anyway.
And Edgar walks this time, and Lilly did not intend it. 2 men on, 2 men out, and Olerud is coming up. Lilly has thrown 96 pitches in the game, having worked 5 2/3 innings.
And he's looking around, John, like I think he's had enough. I'm just watching his mannerisms behind the mound then, and I think he's had enough.
I mean, his shoulder had been hurting.
Right, and it just after that last pitch I was watching, he went behind the mound, and his body language really kind of said, hey, I think I've had enough.
And he, remember, also had a full bullpen session yesterday. Well, apparently that's not what his body was telling us. Is not what he was telling.
I think his body was telling us that, but I think his mouth told Mark, I want to stay. But I mean, you walk two guys after being perfect for so long. It has to tell you something.
He has now pitched 19 consecutive innings without allowing a run. His last two starts were truncated because, as it turned out, because of the shoulder pain that he was experiencing. Here's Olerud. And the slider low and outside. Olerud has flied out to shallow left and struck out. Olerud against the lefties this year, coming into this game, was hitting only .234. Well, the Mariners as a team actually have hit lefties well. And that is a base hit to right field. One hop to Dye. And being stopped at third is Guillen as Dye throws in. So now the bases are loaded. And the switch hitting Randy Winn coming up.
Well, I guess if you didn't take him out after the last, the last situation, would you take him out now? I think you have to leave him in.
Left fielder Randy Winn.
If he was okay, the other two pitches didn't bother him.
Now, Winn has had a double today. Chad Harville, number 32, the right-hander, has joined Rincon, the left-hander, in the bullpen for the Athletics. He is staying with Lilly. I mean, Lilly got a 10-run lead.
Yeah, but you're looking toward the playoffs. If the guy, if he had back spasm or sore shoulder last week, whatever it was, I think Lilly's done his job today. He held him tight until you scored 10 runs, till you won the game.
But you're right. I mean, he's the third starter.
Right.
Back of Hudson and Zito for the playoffs. And a pop-up. Ramon Hernandez in foul ground. That's the Mariners' day. 3 men left. They are still trailing 10-0. Tejada coming up. Poots against Miguel Tejada, and Poots throws him a called strike on the inside. Poots, who is 26 years old, 6 feet 5 inches tall, out of the University of Michigan, former Wolverine. Third base, Guillen, the long throw in time to get Tejada. Tejada is 0 for 4 today. Now an update with Scott Reese.
All right, guys, Mariner fans don't want to see this. Earlier today, the Red Sox and the Tribe. Manny Ramirez with a man on first, stroking it. Left center field, that is an RBI double. Todd Walker in. Pedro Martinez strikes out 11 Indians, and the Sox win it 2-0. Back to you guys.
Must be something about Cleveland Stadium that inspires Martinez. Remember, he came in the postseason as a reliever and dominated the Indians.
Red Sox would be 2.5 ahead of the Mariners at the end of this day, unless the Mariners can come from a 10-0 deficit and win this game.
But the most important thing is not the 2.5, it's the 3 games in the loss column, because that means Boston would have to lose 3 games out of 6, and Seattle would have to win, 3 out of 6 just to tie them. Well, no, they'd have to win 4 out of 6.
Boston has 7 left.
Oh, they have 7. Okay.
And Seattle has 6 left.
Yeah, so they'd still have to lose 3 games. I mean, if Boston plays 500,
Boston went
they're in.
4 and 3. Yeah. Seattle would have to go 6-0 to tie it.
Right. So I think that the 3 games in the loss column are the most important.
Ball forward to Chavez. Ted Lilly finished up the 6th inning, his 6th inning of shutout pitching, and then went into the dugout. And all of his teammates congratulated him on a job done well.
And I think that shows a little something about the enthusiasm that the A's players have, for each other. I mean, they have had some, just team-only, player-only meetings to get themselves together when they were struggling. And I think they're great. They're a very close-knit group of guys, and that's important.
Here's Hatteberg, who has singled and twice flied out. Runner at first, 1 out against J.J. Poots. Poots, a 6th-round draft choice in '99 in the June draft, and he fouls one away. You saw in the Oakland bullpen, Chad Bradford, the right-handed submariner, warming up. There's Hatteberg. By the way, Pedro in that game today for the Red Sox. 7 innings, 11 strikeouts, 2 walks. And Timlin and Kim went the rest of the way. Kim got his 15th save with the Red Sox. And he did get out of a jam in the 7th inning. He struck out Santos with the bases loaded.
Pedro did.
Yeah, Pedro in the 7th got out of the 7th inning jam. He had thrown, what, 128 or so in a complete game the last time out, and his record has been very poor. When he's had a high pitch count in one game, the record has been very poor in his next start. But today he was apparently superb. So Boston, which usually wins ball games when they score lots of runs. I don't think Boston won too many games this year when they only scored twice. And that's your ace making a difference right there.
Yeah.
You didn't really score enough runs to win.
That's why you call him an ace. It was interesting. I was watching yesterday's game. I think Kim went in to save the game yesterday, walked a couple guys, and they took him out right away. So today he comes back and gets a save.
Well, yesterday, Lowe.
No, day before. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Friday. You're talking
Friday,
about.
yeah.
Yesterday was
every
a
day
nightmare.
runs together with me now.
Yesterday or Friday or Tuesday.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Sometime this week.
Yeah, yesterday. Let's see, it was Tuesday. Was that yesterday?
Yeah.
No, but Lowe gave it up in the 7th. The bullpen gave it up. I mean, Cleveland got 7 runs in the 7th, down 4-1, and they went on to win the game 13-4. To left center, shading the eyes at the glove is Cameron, and he lost it entirely. Wynn came over and tried to help out, but could not get there. And those are the Sons of September with a cloudless sky at the Coliseum, and Cameron, who is as good as there is in center field, lost it in the sunshine.
The interesting thing about this is that, you know, it doesn't make a lot of difference in a 10-0 game, but, you know, he tried to shield his eyes, and he was telling Wynn all along that he couldn't find it. And as you said, Wynn was trying to get over there, but this would have held the runners. See, you see Wynn going full speed, and it holds the runners. You know, normally you would have been able to score here if he shades his eyes right away. But good job there working together between he and Wynn. Wynn knew that he couldn't find it. He tried to get there, just couldn't get there in time.
So it's a double for Hatterberg. Chavez had to stop at third. He thought that it was going to be caught right up until the end there.
And like I said, a 10-0 game, you know, it's probably not going to make any difference. But I say it was nothing ball game. It's a smart play there by Cameron just to try to decoy the base runners.
Adam Melhuse is the pinch hitter for Hernandez. The infield is in. It's already 10-0. As Melhuse helped him out a little bit, puts with the shoulder-high fastball, and Melhuse swung at it. 0-2 the count. By the way, Joe, the play you're talking about, the communication there in the outfield, if somebody asks you about it tomorrow, it happened yesterday.
Okay, I'll have to remember that.
But if, let's say, you're doing a Wednesday game, it happened Sunday.
Okay.
Not yesterday. All right. I'm just trying to help now.
Yeah, I was watching most of the games, the A's games and the Mariners this week, off and on anyway.
I mean, you are just eating, drinking, breathing baseball.
It's that time of the year that everything becomes exciting and it's a little more interesting.
Melhuse with runners at second and third. Dive would be next. Along the left field line, twisting, and it's fair. And that'll get them both home. Wynn hurries it back, but Chavez and Hatterberg both score on the Melhuse blue single. 12-0 Oakland.
Well, we saw some good base running there by Scott Hatterberg. I mean, he realized his ball was going to be fair. They weren't going to catch it. So he ran all the way, and he ended up scoring on this ball down the line. I mean, good base running here. See, he's off and running right away. He doesn't wait because he knows the outfielder can't catch it. If it's fair, he's going to score. If it's foul, he can go back. So good job of base running there by Hatterberg. Again, it doesn't make a lot of difference in a 12-0 game, but it can make a difference otherwise in a close ball game.
Well, this one is becoming one of the worst games of the year for the Mariners, as Puts threw a big dropping curveball, but it dropped low. 2-0. There's Bob Melvin, first-year manager of the Mariners. But you got two first-year managers of these two contenders. Ken Maka in his first year.
And I think Maka had the easier job of the two, you know, at the beginning of the season, because he had been a, coach here for so long with these guys, whereas Bob Melvin came from a different league. He came from the National League and went over to the American League to start. So, I mean, it's just that there's no such thing as an easy job, but it's easier. You know, I think his was easier, you know, because he knew the players better.
So Maka knew the players, but has brought a new Makitude to this organization, according to that sign out there.
All right.
And Melvin was the bench coach for Bob Brenly in Arizona.
So going to a different league without, you know, where the DH is used daily, compared to the National League where you do not use the DH. I mean, you know, it wasn't easy for him, but he's, you know, done a good job with these Mariners.
Dye has been on base 3 times and make it 4. It's the second straight time that he has walked and puts 2 men on with 1 man out. And here's an update with Scott Reese.
All right, guys, earlier today in Pittsburgh, the Cubs and the Pirates, Aramis Ramirez getting the best of his former team. That one straightaway center, his 25th home run of the season. Solo shot makes it 3-0 Cubs. Oh, but he wasn't done. He added a second solo shot and an RBI single. 4-1 Cubbies now, and they are just a half back in the NL Central. Mark Pryor, 14 strikeouts. You talk about Pedro. Pryor had a day as well. Back to John and Joe.
17 wins for Pryor, who's a Cy Young Award candidate.
And remember, he missed some time there.
He had the collision in the base paths with Marcus Giles of Atlanta just before the All-Star break. But he still won 17. Got 1 more start to go. And the Cubs, let's see, now finished the year 3 with Cincinnati, and then they play Pittsburgh at home next week in the 80s. And Houston, they're going home now, but they have to play the San Francisco Giants next. The Giants go to Houston for 3.
And the Giants are playing for a home field advantage throughout the National League playoffs, so they will be trying to do all they can to win those ball games. Plus, Barry Bonds with a day's rest, who knows? He's resting today.
And a breaking ball in there for a strike to Ellis. Ellis has an RBI single. He's flied out, and then he hit a grand slam his last time. $12-0, Oakland ahead. And that kind of a hanging breaking ball, lofted foul down the right field line into the bullpen area. Lots of room in foul ground here. Let's go back to the 5th inning. Sasaki on the mound with the bases loaded. Ellis at the plate. That excited him here in Oakland. But that's you can't really do better than that.
No.
That equals the record. In 1 at bat, you can't drive in more than 4. It's like bowling a 300 game. You can't break that record.
And you can't have more than 8 total bases.
So Ellis with his first career grand slam. We're facing Joseph Jason Hoots. Grew up in Michigan. Went to high school in Michigan, then went to the University of Michigan. And the big curveball, strike 3. Got the high strike call there. 2 down.
And we see Putz with the big yellow hammer. That's what we used to call it. Big snake. Overhand snake. Overhand yellow hammer. We don't have our 2-inch view there today.
K-Zone thought it was a little too high. That breaking ball in there for a strike to Burns. Although that's the kind of pitch, though. Guys can hit a pitch like that, can't they?
See, they're at 2 inches, so let's see now. Still a little high since the 2 inches are on the side. But I still think with 2 strikes, it's kind of hard to take it.
I mean, I don't think that's the pitch that Putz was trying to make on 2 strikes.
No.
I wasn't trying to hang it up above the letters or around the letters.
You know, Willie Stargell, late, great Willie Stargell, that was always his biggest complaint about players. How can you take that high-hanging curveball? There's nothing on it. It's just rolling. And he used to get mad at guys that would take that pitch.
There is Sanchez over to Boone for the force out on Dye, and the inning is over. But Oakland adds a couple of runs more. 12-0 Oakland as we move to the 7th.
ESPN2's Major League Baseball, brought to you by ESPN Video Games. And Nextel, life's better when your cell phone has a walkie-talkie.
John Miller, Joe Morgan with you from the Oakland Coliseum. And Oakland seems to have things well in hand here. After getting a bit of a fright with the Mariners winning the first 2 games of the series. But Oakland is ahead 12-0 as Chad Bradford, the submariner, comes on. And you might say, well, wait a minute, Bradford's one of the key Oakland late-inning relievers. Why is he pitching in a blowout? And I'm guessing, Joe, that the fact that he had not pitched in either of the first 2 games of this series, as Mel Hughes is now the catcher.
Well, I think I don't know what they did. He got a warning, or either the pitch was called no pitch or something. I don't know exactly what happened. Bill Miller jumped from behind the plate. I'm not going to act like I know what they're talking about, because I do not.
Hatterberg over talking with Kellogg, the first base umpire.
Unless they were saying that he wasn't in contact with the rubber, because he's pointing at the rubber.
Now Joe West, the crew chief, is going to come in and get involved in the discussion.
Let me see if we can take a look at the pitch. Well, we can't see whether he's on the rubber or not. Well, it doesn't. Well, he called it a ball. Oh, you know what it is? I know what it is. It is a quick pitch, because I was doing the game last Wednesday here. And, no, last Sunday when we were in Arlington.
Yeah.
And the A-Rod stepped in the batter's box, and boom, the ball was on its way. See, he doesn't come set. If you watch him, he doesn't come set at any time. His hands are away from his body, then he just throws. Remember, we mentioned that last Sunday.
Yeah.
And this is the first time I've ever seen anybody call it, though. See, just standing there. Now watch. He'll just throw. See that? He doesn't come set. He just throws. He said called it an illegal pitch.
Well, we did discuss that last
Well,
Sunday.
we did discuss it. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, about Bradford. Remember, it was a quick pitch on A-Rod, and A-Rod asked about it last week. But I've never seen it called like that. I've seen it happen, but I've never seen it called.
He doesn't really use
See, now he's set. See, right.
But that's what they were talking about.
Exactly. Now he sets.
I mean, that's the way he's got to do it with the runner on base. But they're saying he's got to do it all the time.
Yeah, if he's going to stand in the stretch position. But what happened last week, I remember he kept doing it. He just kept throwing, and the guys were not ready. And it was first pitch to A-Rod last week. A-Rod gets in the batter's box, and it's strike 1 because he didn't come set. He just, threw the ball. So finally, I mean, that's the first time I've ever seen one call that, but it is an illegal pitch, as he called it.
If we can look at the what he was doing before again, I think there's another thing to point out. I mean, really what he was doing before wasn't a stretch, it was a windup.
Yeah.
Because he's not setting.
Yeah.
Well, the rule says, if I'm not mistaken, that you have to have the other foot, one foot on the pitching slab, the other foot's either got to be on the slab or behind the slab. You can't wind up with the other foot in front of the slab like that.
See, I mean, he does that quite often, but I think it's, and I have to give Bill Miller a lot of credit for calling that, because, he quick pitches the hitter. That's what the big problem is. The hitter's not ready. He's waiting for him to come to the stretch, and all of a sudden he throws the ball. So you have to give the umpire credit, because last week we talked about it, and I said, I don't like that, but I didn't see anyone call it until today.
Well, that's obviously what it was, because Bradford's using a different motion now.
Right.
3-2 the count.
He's using a legal motion now, according to Bill Miller.
And
he got 4 strikes.
He seems to be able to strike him out anyway, one way or the other. Cameron is 0 for 3.
And I guarantee you someone had called the umpire's attention to that, because I'm sure there have been complaints from other people. There you see the new catcher, Mel Hughes, behind the plate. He also drove in a couple of runs, replacing Ramon Hernandez.
Well, we were in Oakland last Sunday when the Athletics played the Rangers
in Anaheim. I mean, Arlington.
In Texas. What did I say?
Oakland.
Well, we were in Texas last week. That was Texas. Oh, that's right, 'cause there was no bay there.
Yeah,
I was wondering where the bay was when we were there last week. That's the San Francisco Bay, and looking across to the peninsula, and beyond that, the Pacific Ocean. There you go. And just on the behind home plate, the big round structure there is the Coliseum Arena, where the Golden State Warriors NBA team plays. This complex opened in 1966 as the home of the Raiders. The Warriors they used to have NHL hockey here, the Seals. Hatterberg with the unassisted put out. Now we have an update, and here is Scott Reese.
All right, guys, earlier today, the Cards and the Stros, 5-4, St. Louis by 1 in the 7th, but Scotty Rowland, well, little insurance never hurts. Off of Jeremy Robertson, that'll score Albert Pujols. 47th double of the season for Rowland. Cards within 4 games, but they're running out of time. Back to John and Joe.
Yeah, I mean, they only have 5 games left on their schedule, and they have 2 teams in front of them.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult.
I mean, they have to win all their games, and both of those teams need to lose almost all of theirs. Here's Pat Borders, a pinch hitter for Dan Wilson. Borders, who's been around for a long time, former Toronto Blue Jay, and he was the veteran on Tommy Lasorda's Olympic baseball team that shocked the Cubans in the Olympic Games in Sydney. And Borders was one of the veterans. They had a lot of young players, young talent on that ball club.
And a lot of them are in the big leagues making their mark now.
Ben Sheets with Milwaukee is one of them. He's the one who pitched that gold medal game.
I don't think, you know, our guys got enough credit for the accomplishment. Because, I mean, the Cubans, you know, just continue to win. There you see Looper in the bullpen for Seattle. But, I mean, to beat the Cubans, I mean, we hadn't done that in so long. And just to put a group of guys together and they went over and did it, I mean, that's quite an accomplishment.
Well, they were definitely not favored to do it.
No, it's something they can hang on to as a group forever.
I mean, there's a lot of big league caliber talent.
Yeah, of course. But
proven veteran talent on that Cuban team.
Yeah, I mean, they've got guys that we're still trying to get over here to play in the big leagues. So,
well, Contreras.
Yeah, he just
was
walked
now with the Yankees, right? He was one of those guys.
And he's 7-2, I think, now. He won yesterday. Or was that Friday?
2-2 the count to Borders. Hey, you remembered about Bradford and his motion last week. I'm not saying anything about your memory from now on.
Well, I just remember because from a hitter's perspective, it looked like it was a quick pitch. And you always remember those things.
I couldn't even remember that we were in Texas last week. Are you kidding? So Bradford working from that set position again. And strike 3. So Bradford, who has just been sensational for the Athletics this year, one of the anchors of what has been an outstanding bullpen. So he gets through it, even with the controversy. Now to the last of the 7th inning, 12-0. 12-0. The Athletics lead the Mariners as we go to the last half of the 7th inning. We're on the eastern side of San Francisco Bay. 40,643, the paid crowd at the Coliseum.
Now pitching.
The Athletics on the verge of moving back to 4 games ahead of Seattle with only 6 to play. And there is Aaron Looper on to pitch now for Seattle.
He's only pitched 5 in the 3rd innings.
A lot of changes behind him. We'll tell you about as we go along here.
Correction, left fielder Terrence Law.
Aaron Looper, the cousin of Florida Marlins closer Braden Looper. And he throws outside for ball. And he's also the son of the Mariners vice president of player development, Benny Looper. Although, as I understand it, no relation to Joe Morgan. The fastball is too high. To Terrence Long, who's up for the first time in this game. Aaron Looper, 27 years old, from Ada, Oklahoma, then went to the University of Oklahoma. A whole lot of changes for the Mariners behind him. And that's a ball up and away. The infield has 3/4 of a new infield and an entirely new outfield. Pat Borders stays in to catch after he pinch hit for Dan Wilson. But the only guy who is still in the game behind Looper, who was in there behind anybody else, is Sanchez, the shortstop. It's now Cirillo at first, Ugueto at second, and Bloomquist at third. Chad Myers in left, Jamal Strong in center, John Mabry in right, and Long gets a walk against Looper. Now here comes Jose Guillen to pinch hit. And he with the broken hamate bone in his left hand, Sam Ryan.
Throughout the game was squeezing the ball in the dugout throughout the game in his left hand, flexing it. He told me he wasn't really feeling any pain there. What they were doing, the coaches just wanted to make sure his bat speed was there. It is that you have padded his hand with some extra tape underneath that glove, John.
All right, so Looper, Guillen gives them that right-handed power.
Well, he's built the knob up a little bit. We were talking about how Marquise Grissom builds his up with a tremendous amount of tape. He just has a little build up there.
1 ball, 1 strike. Looper is the fifth Seattle pitcher of the day. And he hangs a curveball too high. Did they call that a strike?
Yes.
Oh, but I mean, it's too high apparently to swing at, but not too high to call a strike.
Yeah, you see all the tape that he has at the bottom. That's to try to keep from re-injuring it.
That's a double play ball. Sanchez to second one. Ugueto to first to Cirillo for the double play.
Well, the swing looks okay, and I'm sure he wouldn't have tried to play if he wasn't okay. He would have waited a few more days, but I feel like right now he's okay.
Now Miguel Tejada. Now Oakland has scored 12 runs today. They've had a lot of guys involved in the offense. Everybody, in fact, has been involved except Miguel Tejada.
He hasn't scored a run. He hasn't driven in a run.
I mean, he hadn't even been on base. Everybody else has either reached base, driven in a run, or scored a run. The only other Oakland player who has not reached base was Durasso, but he drove in a run with a sacrifice fly. Leaning back for that high, tight sinker. 2 balls and a strike. There is an A in Tejada. Make sure there is a Tejada in the A's. Well, that was a good one.
That's pretty good.
And Sanchez throws out Tejada. Well, Miguel's not wasting any of his hits for the pennant race in this one today. They've done just fine without him today. 12-0 Oakland. Back here at the Phoenix Municipal Stadium for the spring training exhibition game between the Athletics and, well, actually, it's starting to look just like one of those with the players that are now in this game. A lot of the regulars are being given the rest of the day off. And here is Ricardo Rincon on the pitch for the Athletics, but he's got a whole different looking team behind him. And we'll pass those changes along to you. You see out on the out-of-town scoreboard there, Boston beat Cleveland 2-0. So the Mariners are very close to being 2.5 out with only 6 to play. Boston with 7 to play. Here's Rincon to Strong. This is Jamal Strong batting for the Mariners. Strong has had only 1 at-bat since being called up. He's been used as a pinch runner. Scored a couple of runs. Luis Ugueto and then Willie Bloomquist will follow. And that slider is in there for a strike. Now for the A's, Long remains in left. Eric Burns in center. And Chris Singleton is now in right field. Menachino now at third. Bobby Crosby, who could be the shortstop in the near future for the Athletics. Very highly thought of prospect. Esteban Herman at second base. And Graham Kuntz at first base. The catch is made in right field by Singleton. And Strong is retired for 1 away. So now here's something that I am positive about.
Okay.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Office of the Commissioner of Baseball and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without express written consent. Major League Baseball is giving away World Series tickets for life and other great prizes in the Ultimate World Series Pass promotion presented by Radio Shack. Winning hologram numbers will be announced throughout games 1 through 4 of the series, with the grand prize of World Series tickets for life announced in Game 4. And that one skips by. And holding it first will be Ugueto, the shortstop. Crosby with a low throw that Kuntz, the first baseman, could not come up with. He scored as a hit.
Well, he kind of threw it sidearm. He didn't get on top, which is one of the things that you have to learn from shortstop from deep in the hole. You're going to have to get on top so the ball will carry.
Number 16. Third base.
Let's watch his footwork. That's the main thing. Footwork wasn't bad, except he had his feet too close together. When he got, watch it, now he's good footwork there, but watch, they're too close together to throw across the diamond. So you got to step where you're throwing, or you can't get on top. He kind of threw it sidearm, so he got a sink on it.
Bobby Crosby, one of the A's 2 first-round draft choices in the 2001 draft. In his 3 seasons in the minor, Crosby with a .305 batting average, a .383 on-base average. And he was named the Pacific Coast League Rookie of the Year. There's Crosby, the second one, and they do not get the double play. The relay from Herman a little bit late to get Bloomquist, who's a fast runner.
He is fast. They did things pretty well at second base. Crosby took a funny hop and gave it to Ugueto, but Ugueto couldn't get it to first in time.
So Bloomquist is safe at first, and now here is Ben Davis to pinch hit for Edgar Martinez. Ben, who was involved in that bone-rattling play at home plate yesterday, which kind of symbolized the intense nature of what the Mariners were about, with must-wins in each game of this weekend series. You know, anytime a team is in that kind of a situation, I mean, you have that opportunity when you play the team in front of you. I mean, even if you have to win all the games, at least you have the chance to do it.
But it's very difficult to do.
And I remember one of the great pennant races in 1982 in the American League East. Baltimore appeared dead. Harvey Keene's Milwaukee Brewers had a big lead. And they finally, Baltimore made a great spirited comeback, but they finally ended up in the final weekend of the season in Baltimore. They had a 4-game series, and Milwaukee had a 3-game lead. So Baltimore had to win all 4 games, 1 loss, and they were mathematically eliminated. And it started with a doubleheader on a Friday night, which meant they had to sweep a doubleheader, and they did. Which also meant the next day they still had to win, and they did. And the final day of the year, they were tied for first. Jim Palmer versus Don Sutton. And, you know, 2 future Hall of Famers matched up. And you thought, wow, Milwaukee has blown this thing entirely. Baltimore is going to win now. They're home. They've come all the way. And Milwaukee blew them out the last day. The game was almost like this one. You know, the final score was like 12-1 or something.
Like I said, it's just hard to do. I mean, doesn't matter who's pitching or whatever, that final game, if you won 3, it's very difficult to win all 4 games.
But what a journey it was.
Yeah.
And that was the only thing, you know, if there'd been a wild card that year, both teams already would have been in.
Right.
So you would have kind of lost a little something there. Not that I'm starting a big argument about the wild card.
I'm ready for it because everybody's on my side now. Everybody thinks the wild card is great now. I really feel that it's
so you
great.
just wait to see which way the wind's blowing?
No, I've always said the wild card was good. My reasoning may be a little different. I think it's good because it gets the 2 best teams in both leagues into the playoffs.
Strike 3 to Ben Davis. That's it. Rick Cohn gets through it. 12-0 Oakland. The Oakland Athletics, in a big day for them, are closing in on the Western Division title with a huge lead here over the Seattle Mariners. Now, Tuesday, ESPN Original Entertainment's critically acclaimed drama Playmakers will continue at 9 Eastern. In episode 3, a man is shot outside a nightclub. And Demetrius Harris must decide where his loyalty lies, with the team or with his posse. Catch Playmakers Tuesday night, 9 Eastern only on ESPN. It's also available on ESPN HD in high definition. Here is Brian Sweeney on the pitch for the Mariners. So we're getting a look at the some of the call-ups who spent most of the year in the minor leagues for these two organizations. And one thing is for sure, these two teams have been developing a lot of big league talent lately. That's why they're so good right now. For the Mariners, a lot of outstanding pitching talent. When you look at this Mariner pitching staff with guys like Mesh had a bad day today, but a young guy with 15 wins. Piñeiro's won 15 right out of their farm system.
It was interesting. A lot of Pat Gillick, the Mariners general manager, took a lot of heat for not making any trades before the deadline, and getting a big bat into the lineup. And I was sitting one day, I was trying to figure where would you get a guy, maybe a third baseman.
Down the right field line by Menachino, and that is caught by Mabry. So Menachino in his first at bat is retired, one away.
Because I mean, you can't. You have Boone at second, you have Olerud, you have Ichiro. I mean, you have so many guys. I don't know where you would who you would replace in that lineup, other than Cirillo at the time wasn't hitting, but it's not that easy to go out and find a power hitting third baseman anymore.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure where they could have made the changes, to get more help as far as hitting is concerned.
Here is Graham Kuntz. Takes a strike from Brian Sweeney. Adam Melhuse on deck. Ooh, the changeup. Pretty good one there from Sweeney. Well, if the postseason were to begin tomorrow, Oakland would be opening up against the Boston Red Sox here in Oakland. Boston would be the wild card team. And that is strike 3 to Kuntz. So he's gone. 2 men down. The Yankees would be opening up at home against the Minnesota Twins in the American League. And it looks like Minnesota is on its way. They've gotten hot just at the right time. How about this? The Twins, since the All-Star break, is something like 44-20. I mean, if you're a good team, that's what you do.
Yeah, exactly.
And they were not good there for a long time, but they got Shannon Stewart.
That's what I was going to say. I think he was the key addition to that team. They moved Jock Jones down to a position where he could drive in some runs and not be the leadoff hitter.
Melhuse has a base hit to left center field. Able to pick it up is Chad Myers. Melhuse has his second hit. And now Singleton will come up. Of course, the Oakland has been a ball club that also has been making moves in pennant races. They get Jermaine Dye. And I don't know, without Dye in 2001, they would not have made the postseason.
And even last year with Durham and Durham especially last year.
I mean, they missed Durham this year.
Yeah, exactly.
They have not been able to replace him.
He was the guy last year.
And Jose Guillen was the pickup. And there were no better hitting guys out there having better years than Guillen, that's for sure. I mean, he had not done the same for them as to what he did for Cincinnati this year, changing leagues at mid-year. But
what's interesting, I look back at and look at the American League, and David Ortiz, going to Boston. I think that was the #1 acquisition or change in that league. And then they Minnesota got Shannon Stewart.
And I read a note in one of the New York papers where George Steinbrenner said that he called Brian Cashman, the general manager, and said maybe we should get. I don't know if he put it maybe we should, but that he advised that they go get David Ortiz.
Yeah.
But Cashman did point out that they already had Jeremy Giambi and Nick Johnson. I said Jeremy Giambi. They already had Jason Giambi, and there is quite a difference.
Yeah, there is a difference.
Jason Giambi and Nick Johnson. So they were already pretty well stocked at first base DH.
Another guy that I think I want to mention is Jorge Posada. If I had a vote now, I'd vote for him for MVP in the American League.
Well, I think that's an excellent point. I'd like to talk to you about it, but right now we're headed to the 9th inning. Oakland leading by 12. Oakland 12 runs, 15 hits, 1 error. The Mariners no runs and 4 hits as we head to the 9th inning now. And don't forget now, right after the ball game, stay tuned for baseball tonight. All of the highlights from around baseball today. By the way, the Dodgers stay alive in that National League wild card race. They came back and beat the Giants today 7-2. As Keith Folk is on the pitch now for Oakland. And this guy, I don't know how many closers in this league have been better than Folk, if any. I mean, he has just been extremely reliable.
Well, that's the one thing that Oakland has done very effectively the last few years is change closers and still get a job well done from whomever they put in that situation.
Billy Koch was the closer last year and did a really fine job. A real hard thrower. But Folk, who actually for a time had lost that closer's job in Chicago with the White Sox, but he's had 43 saves this year. Listen to this: 82 and 2/3 innings pitched, 53 hits allowed, and only 20 walks given up. So maybe he's not in the classic mode. He's not like the monster Dick Raditz. See, I'm going back a ways on that one.
Yeah. Yeah, Isringhausen, Koch, Folk. I mean, that's what they've done.
And if anything, Folk's been better than the other two with what he's done this year. Fastball in on the hands.
Hey,
2-2.
You did ignore my MVP vote for Jorge Posada.
I said 3 weeks ago, you probably don't remember now.
Oh, okay.
I said, I think that Jorge Posada should get a little more consideration for that MVP.
Well, he has been so consistent.
And you said, So Cirillo gets hit by the pitch, and he's aboard. Now, sometimes these closers, when they're just in a situation where they're getting work in to stay sharp, they don't have it oftentimes.
Well, he had been having back spasms. I guess it must be some of the hotels that he sleep in, because he had back spasms, and they just pronounced him okay Friday for the game here, but he hasn't had an opportunity to pitch.
I mean, Oakland, he hadn't pitched since Wednesday.
Yeah. Back spasms, right? That's what I saw.
Oh, nice curveball.
In fact, went to see a chiropractor. He was on the road and went back to see someone. Now he just returned for the Friday game.
It's making my back kind of stiff. Just you bringing all that up. There we go. Mabry out on deck as Chad Myers pops one foul, and this will go back out of play. Graham Kuhn started over from first base. Oakland is ahead 12-0. They jumped out with a 5-run second inning against starter Gil Mash, who lasted only 1+ inning in this game before they went and got him. And then a grand slam in the 5th inning by Mark Ellis, the first of his big league career. It's been all Oakland, 12-0 Athletics. They'll be 4 games up with 6 to play if they can only hold this lead. 1 ball and 2 strikes. No, I think Jorge Posada got about 100 RBIs.
Yeah, 98 going into today's game. I don't know how many he got today, but he's just been so consistent. And it's interesting because over the course of the time, the Yankees, when they won 4 out of 5 World Championships, they didn't even have an MVP. I mean, they didn't win the MVP, anyone on their team for those years they won. And now, I mean, even this year, I mean, with a lot of guys being injured off seasons, I think Posada's been the one that's stepped up and kept them afloat.
Myers fouls one, third base side. Well, you go back to, Yogi Berra won 3 MVPs, right?
Correct.
I mean, a catcher, and when you talk about his offense, it's not all about offense.
No.
I mean, how well is he running a pitching staff? How well does he shut down the running game? And I think that Posada's done well in all those aspects of the game this year.
And again, I have to give it, like, what is that, strength of schedule? By that, I mean the guy that's playing one of the toughest positions, like a shortstop or a sector, catcher. I mean, they're playing very difficult positions to play on a daily basis. Usually you struggle down the stretch if you're a catcher because you just wear down. I mean, catching so many games. Because, as you said, you leave him in there even if he's not hitting, because his job is to work the pitchers and to play defense. So I think he should be commended for that. His
club's won more games than any other in the American League. They get the force out there. Myers bounces out to the shortstop Crosby, who fed the ball to Herman, forcing out Cirillo. Out number 1 with Myers safe at first. Baseball tonight right after the game. Stay tuned. They're getting ready to bring you the full day in sports. The only sports that Joe and I really care about. The full day in baseball. Baseball tonight. Of course, Sunday night baseball will be on ESPN 2 tonight from the ballpark in Arlington. Mark Ellis will be in those highlights, I'm guessing, on baseball tonight with his grand slam today. Here's John Mabry. Myers at first, 1 out. Mabry, a veteran, up for the first time in this game. So the Dodgers moved to within 2.5 in the National League wild card. Florida lost today, but the Phillies lost. Phillies blew a lead. How about Jim Thome? Hit a 3-run homer today. Being serenaded here. I'm looking for Andy and Opie and Aunt B.
If you're the Dodgers or anyone in the National League wild card, you figure you have a shot, because remember, they're going to finish the Phillies and the Mariners are going to, the Florida Marlins are going to end up playing each other.
Well, the Mariners look like they'll be 4 out with 6 to play after this one, and 2.5 back of the Red Sox. The Red Sox with 7 to play. The Mariners with 6. The Red Sox beat Cleveland today back at Pedro 2-0. They didn't get many runs, but it was more than enough with Pedro pitching. The bullpen wrapped it up. No swing there by Ray Sanchez. Sanchez 0 for 3. The Mariners have only 4 hits in this game. But there is Singleton. And so the Athletics are now 4 games ahead with only 6 to play. They will be hosting Texas here starting tomorrow. The Mariners move on down to Anaheim before the 2 teams will reconvene at Safeco Field next Friday in Seattle. Oakland 12, Seattle nothing. Baseball tonight coming up next. But Joe Morgan, Sam Ryan, and our entire ESPN crew, this is John Miller. Thanks for tuning in. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports.